Are live? I think we're live.
Well,
we're live with episode 23. Okay, yeah, go. You were saying?
I'm gonna have to step out for about probably half an hour, 45 minutes. Unfortunately.
Okay. But you were saying about the BMM because let's just dive right into that.
I'm just really impressed that they're actually announcing. They're starting production on those at least those 3 ships. It's a good step forward based off of the lack
Well, they
of
say
stuff
they're
we're
starting
seeing on
production anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, based off of what they're showing on the roadmap, it was kind of I was underplussed. So it's nice that they're making a public effort to say, "Hey, we're working on something. We're bringing some ships in."
Right, and it builds on a point we made last week on the show where we're talking about how we wanted to see some of the older concept ships finally come into the game. You were very adamant about that, and now you're finally getting your wish.
Yeah, let's
hopefully,
work on some of that tech debt. But
you never know; it might be pushed back or something.
And hopefully, I'll catch you guys while you're still on the Star Citizen.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be playing later tonight, if not definitely during the week.
Okay, catch you guys later.
See ya.
Nice.
But yeah, so that they updated the roadmap, and now we have the BMM. What other ships did they have on there? It was the Banu Merchantman. They have. It's not on release view. It's on the watch face progress tracker view. Right?
I have no idea. I think so. Yeah, they're not on the main release schedule because they're being worked on, but they are not saying they're aiming for release just yet.
It's the first update we've had on those ships in how many years now? Yeah. So in years.
The Bengal Merchantman, although
I think the last update we got on that ship was 2018. So.
Yeah, and just like with all the other very hyped up ships, I think people are probably going to be disappointed with what they get for the Bengal Merchantman, but we'll see.
They're going to have to bring a bunch of other gameplay features online before the Merchantman is fully realized anyway.
Well, but I guarantee for stuff like that. Like, for example, hey, it's supposed to go and have the story you can go and put in there. Well, according to how they want to run the stores, you need to have NPCs manning those, not players. Therefore, it's going to go and launch without a lot of its features. Just like how the Carrot, it still doesn't have things like ship-to-station docking for it yet, or even ship-to-ship docking. It doesn't have drone tech. It doesn't have repair tech. It doesn't have the maps on it, and the quantum jumping isn't even a thing yet because you don't even have other systems. The fucking
you mean jump driving or whatever
on the cockpit, and the antennas aren't there, etc., etc., etc. I can keep going, but. No, fuck, the tram's broken here.
Where are you?
So,
I'm in New Babbage on the PTU. Oh, no, I think we're actually... Oh, fuck it. Damn, this is a laggy server.
So, speaking of the PTU, do you guys want to talk about the Bengal Carrier that we just that's now being tested? Free fleet.
Yeah, but I don't know. I haven't seen shit about it yet.
So, I just watched the video that Board Gamer made where he shows it off and talks about it, and I gotta say, just seeing that ship moving in the verse, like with the station in the background and other ships flying, really puts into perspective the scale of the ship in the game. It's kind of breathtaking, I gotta say. It's really cool.
I was talking with someone the other day in a different Discord. They had kind of heard of Star Citizen, but they didn't really know much about it. So I was talking to them with it, and I was streaming my gameplay. But I showed them if you've seen the infographic where it shows like all the UEE ships and like the
the poster from last week.
Yeah. I showed him that, and he was like, "Oh, okay, that looks kind of cool. Like, can you own a Retribution?" It's like, no, there's only one of those, and no one can own those. That's military only. And I was kind of talking like these are really big ships, and he was like, "Well, how big really are they?" And I was like, "Well, here, let me show you a Carrack." And I pointed out like here on the little infographic, here's the Carrack. It's this little bitty dot over here, and then here's the Carrack, and it's like, holy shit, yeah, shit's big. I can't wait to see the Retribution. That's definitely gonna be a ship you're gonna have to go and have ETVs or other like tram systems in the ship just to get around.
Yeah.
Like, just to get around in the ship, you need other vehicles. That's the scale we're talking about.
well, the Javelin has an internal monorail system.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't wait to see, especially like once like the Javelin and the Bengal are in, you could have a fully realized like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 size maps PvP going on inside of those ships. Like the Metro map from like Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, you could have something probably bigger than that.
Well, it's also at least for me, like this is part of the reason why I got into Star Citizen in the first place, was it's like an evolution. It's an almost a spiritual successor to the original Battlefront games, those original Star Wars Battlefront games, where you had the interior of the ships and you'd fly from your ship to the enemy ship and kind of take them down from the inside. Like now you're getting the interiors of these giant, massive ships.
And while your engineer goes, "Holy shit, they're attacking engineering! Someone save me!"
Like you see, I have the image that you sent me that you're talking about up on the screen right now. Like
yeah,
you
and
can see like there's a little Carrack, and then you have the giant Bengal. Not the Bengal, the Dreadnought in the middle.
Like, do you have a picture of the Carrack in like scale to a person? Just to kind of give for anyone who might not know the scale, just to kind of give an idea of, hey, here's a person.
I should take
Carrack. Here's a Carrack compared to these other ships.
I'm not so sure. I think I do, but I'm not so sure.
Or like if you got one of like a picture of you like EVAing in front of the Carrack.
Sorry about that. Yeah, but let me put it this way: the Carrack has a hangar for smaller ships in it already,
and a separate garage, and
a garage for vehicles. Yeah. Hell, I think you can put a Nox inside the Pisces, which you can put inside the Carrack.
Can you really? Can you really fit a Nox
in there? Well,
yeah.
we've tried putting a Dragonfly in it, and you can. It's too long. It won't fit, but it does fit.
Well, it's not even so much the length. It's that, at least especially with the Dragonfly, you can't get it to fold up, which is what it really needs. And then with both the Dragonfly and the Nox right now, the problem is that you cannot at this time. We're no longer able to adjust the height that it hovers at, and that's the bigger problem, because it goes, and when it tries to hover about 10 feet up, and so it's going to scrape the ceiling. But especially like when we got, for instance, the Ranger, that thing's going to roll right in there. At least until it desinks and falls out, but beyond that.
And Tilm29's in the chat saying original Star Wars Battlefront is the best, and that is correct.
Yes.
Same with its sequel. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh shit.
But yeah, so it's. I mean, yeah, we're getting some big ships. We're going to see some awesome stuff at Fleet Week. The servers are probably going to tank in terms of performance, though.
Take a look at the screenshot I just dumped in.
How bad do you think the performance is going to be? Oh, is this from PTU right now?
Yeah, I'm playing right now. So
Those are
it's
pretty
telling
cool
you
looking.
both where the fleet is and where the Javelin tours are. I'm actually heading up to Everest Harbor now to take a look. Although I will say
sweet.
FPS is pretty shitty.
So
right
this
now.
is a screen for anyone watching. This is a screenshot Cam took right now.
I mean, if you want, I could go and stream to the Discord.
But due to issues with Discord, at least the issues I have with Discord, I don't think I'll be able to see your stream.
You want me to try, or?
I mean, we can try. I just don't think it'll work.
What could possibly go wrong?
So many answers to that question.
And all of them are horribly, horribly right.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that you're live at all.
I blame Canada.
I'm done with that. It is amazing to him. That's what this game is in a nutshell. Amazing and a lot of ambition yet to see realization. Yeah. So we're getting a Bengal flyby, and they're gonna have the tour of the UES. What was it? Warhammer? Javelin? That's the name of it. The Warhammer.
Javelin is named the Warhammer.
And they're gonna have that. Is that going to be at Port Tressler, or is that going to be at INS Jericho?
No, it is at Port Tressler, which I am heading there now.
Because it says Everest Harbor in the screenshot here.
Yeah, it's weird.
So, but then again, these are posters in the PTU, and it's the PTU. But this is all Fleet Week starts May 20. I want to say May 22nd. Right?
Yeah. That's when the free fly starts at least. I think it actually starts.
Right.
Fleet Week starts like the 18th, and the free fly starts the 22nd.
So roughly 10 to 12 days from now.
It's about 2 weeks.
Right. And 729 says this game is all new to me anyway, but it is nice to hear passionate players of it learn more about the franchise of it. Dude, where have you been then? We've been streaming this game for years since our channel creation.
Well, then let us say welcome to the cult. I mean, following and no.
Did you guys already go over the Thursday's dev thing?
ISE? No, not yet.
No,
I haven't even watched it yet.
By it.
I don't think I've actually watched it yet, but I have notes from it.
I watched, it was interesting. They, showed off, a new UI for scanning that's actually going to be the FPS UI, even though they're using it on a ship, because the ship UI isn't done yet. And they kind of just talked about how with scanning, when you scan, you're kind of only going to get just a general idea of something's there. And then, of course, as you get closer, and depending on how you're scanning and what kind of scanner you've got, etc., you'll get clearer pictures. And one thing that was cool is they did say with cross-section scanning. So that's the thing where you have a physical radar ping coming back at you. You're not just sensing for infrared or EM emissions, that kind of shit. It actually does depend. For example, if you send out a ping for something looking for cross section, and let's say if there's a hammerhead and it's facing you dead on, pointed at you, so essentially its nose is pointing at you, that's a relatively small cross section because it's very flat and very long. Whereas if it then rotates 90 degrees up, so now its belly is toward you, that is a much, 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 much bigger cross section there. And just that rotation will mean it will accurately reflect it. It'll suddenly go, whoa, there's a huge contact here, holy shit. Whereas if it's nose on, it's going to go, yeah, there's something there's something, smallish over here.
Yeah, I have the IC footage playing right now. Also, Tim29 says, well, it took a West stream to meet you, Cast in the Shadows, and to learn about some of your favorite things that you enjoy playing and things that we both enjoy. Yeah, well, look, at least you're learning about it now, so. But it's like Star Citizen's like the main thing we do on this channel. The main thing we cover. Because that's how we all met. Through Star Citizen. Fellow cult members. Okay. It's one of us.
One of the things that I was a little concerned with watching the ICS was that they're saying that basically you're going to get like you're going to get whatever the person's carrying cargo manifest when you do a scan. And I was kind of thinking, and basically the way they explained it is, they want it for gameplay purposes so that, people can make decisions on, do they want to take actions based off of that information that they get. And I understand that. But at the same time, I'm kind of going, I don't know if that's the way to go for the gameplay. So that's cutting off some gameplay that could be built in there where maybe you don't get a manifest, but you're getting their mass ratio, and you know what a general, let's say, a cutlass weighs, and then you go,
no one's
gonna
want to be doing fucking napkin math.
All right, so
I'm not saying that. Hear me out before you jump on me. All I'm saying is that maybe you would get some kind of indicator that, like, hey, the specs are off on this guy. And then it's up to you to actually get closer in there and do that more thorough searching of what that guy's carrying, and then you have that potential to find something. Instead of just automatically, hey, I pinged him, now I know what he's carrying. That's all.
Well, they didn't say that's how that's going to work. Is that you're going to have to actively scan them, and things like we were talking before about, like, hey, maybe they'll have boxes that'll either have a different readout, and it's like, oh, hey, this is Laranite, and yet if you actually go and pull off a thing of Laranite, it's actually a bunch of Widow or something inside of there, whatever.
Okay, they didn't say that.
This is tier 1 implementation. They're not going to be like, hey, we're going to go an hour into all the details on this when we're barely at tier 0.
And that's why I started this off by saying it was a concern. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying this is the end. I was saying this is what brought up concern to me, was that they're kind of approaching it like it's just going to be gameplay mechanics. And all I'm saying is that's where I get nervous. Like, I'm not saying that that's the way it is.
I have some strong feelings on this.
Yeah.
From my perspective, what should happen is that your ship has like a manifest that automatically gets populated with things that you're carrying. So when you scan a ship, you're basically communicating with you can scan the ship, but some of the information you get back about cargo will be you reading the manifest off the ship that's accessible, that would be on every ship.
If you're law-abiding.
Well, but so for non-lawful people, the way you would get around that is you could go in, you could edit the manifest. You would have to have tools or whatever, but you could do it. And from that would add the ability for people to, if they want to verify that you are carrying what you have, then they have to get on your ship and go through it.
Right, but they've already been given the note. Like, my point is
you
don't
want people to see what you have on your ship by default, is what you're saying.
Correct, because it enables that person to already say, I know he's got Laranite, that's worth me going after him. Instead of going, all I can tell is that he's got a lot of cargo.
So in that sense,
I want to spend the time and the effort to go after that guy and find out what that lot of cargo is? Or do I pick something else that's got a bigger chunk of cargo, but I don't know what it is?
And I'm just going to elaborate on
automatically giving people, oh, that guy's carrying Quantanium, I'm only going after Quantanium. That's the only reason I don't like that gameplay loop of just automatically knowing what you got.
And just to add to that,
what you're saying.
Just to add to that, though, it also affects. Okay, what if you hide your cargo on, like, say you have a Star Runner, right? Or I think the Corsair also has this feature where it's like you can hide cargo, right, with your little smuggling areas. Then what's the point of those if it doesn't Like, are they actually gonna do that, where it just shows it has cargo but doesn't show you what it is, and then, or does it actually like shield the cargo entirely? Like, what?
The other option is
they elaborate on that.
I was thinking of it is, you know, that we're having it automatically scanning somebody and getting their information right off the bat. Yeah, okay, so that kind of works for like law abiding, but what do the pirates do if they don't want to be able to show what they actually have?
Well, we're saying you edit the manifest.
What I was thinking is, why not have it kind of like how modern shipping is today, which is, you know, most of your big giant ships that are carrying cargo are required to have manifests, and they are registered, and you know, you bring up their information. It says this ship is carrying, 4,000 cargo containers worth of cars or whatever the item might be, and that's how you get your information. That now, having that, to me, would be okay if you have the option to not have that manifest. But then if you don't have that manifest being publicly displayed, that also, sure, you might not get, you might not have pirates boarding you all the time because they don't know what you're carrying, but at the same time, maybe the cops are like, hey buddy, what you got, because you're not showing your manifest, so we need to check you now. And that would bring up more gameplay avenue, like more options. That's all I'm getting at. Whereas having an automatic manifest just takes out a chunk of gameplay that could be available. That's all I was trying to originally get at.
I agree with the fact that if you store something in your ship, someone who scans you should not automatically be able to tell exactly what that is.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Especially since we have that feature right now. If I were to scan your ship right, like in the live build of the game right now, in 3.13.0, if I were to scan, say, Data's ship, it will tell me, okay, Data's on board, it's just him, it'll tell me his health, it'll tell me his ship's health, his crime stat rating, the amount of cargo he has, what the cargo is, and first implementations, fine, it's alpha, whatever, but finished, that's not what I want with the finished thing.
Exactly. I don't want them to know how many people are on board. Like, to me, it should go off of your registration. Like, maybe you fill out your registration as saying, who the owner is. Normal crew complement is, 3 people, because then, the authorities know that they should go looking for 3 people if they come across the wreck, kind of a thing. But at the same time, it shouldn't tell somebody who scans that there are 3 people on board at this moment. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess it also depends on, like, maybe not by default, but maybe if you buy a specific scanner or modules or upgrade the scanner to be more precise. Otherwise, it's just going to be a bit more vague and say, okay, X amount of life signs, but it doesn't tell you who and everything like that. Like, that's just...
yeah.
But to move on a bit from that part of the ISC to what I thought was cool, they're talking about how objects, say if you're scanning some rock or trying to scan someone who's behind a rock, you're not going to pick them up, or you might. It's going to be a very faint signal. I know, I like that. What did they say here? New radar tweaks changes detection varying from signature overlaps, gas clouds, and being hidden behind a much larger signature. Several ships adjacent to an Idris was an example. It's like, that makes sense, so if you're hiding behind a rock, you won't be detected as easily as, say, just being right out in the open.
And also, they're going for the gas cloud, so if you're in the gas cloud,
you're already going to be harder to detect.
That energy, it's just going to go, no, there's nothing out there, unless you get, I guess...
because there's going to, your sensors are going to have, like, emission overload from all the gas clouds.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree that it was definitely, this is all first iteration and nothing's in stone.
It's all subject to change, for sure.
Yeah. I was just a little concerned with how they were approaching it from such a game perspective right off the bat. I was kind of going, oh man, I hope they don't, because, once you do something, once you set initial policy, it's a lot harder to change that policy than if you didn't set it right off the bat and leave your options open. I guess is, as Cam is well aware from his military background, once a decision's made, it's easy to fall back on that and just say nope, instead of going, well, we haven't really decided yet. Sure, go ahead, try it out.
Well, there's also you guys want to? Oh, so also within ISC, we got the hospitals. They showed off some med-based stuff.
They have really been pushing the med stuff for a couple months now.
Well, they are getting medical gameplay in, I think, this year, aren't they? Next major in 3.14.
I just find it funny that, basically a big giant fixed structure in big built up areas has been such a big part of
they've been definitely, I think they've been
updates.
Yeah, they've been, I would say, I wouldn't say overselling it, but just talking about it a lot compared to, other things. It's just a hospital. Yeah, it's atmospheric, but they didn't talk about the TDD Area 18, which is also extremely atmospheric, and it's this giant trading center and all that. It's like a stock exchange or the stock exchange area in Orville. They didn't talk about those, but those are super atmospheric. I don't think they need to talk about it either here.
Yeah.
Then you run the risk of overselling it, but oh well.
How come we don't have working
TDD? I do like that, at least here in the footage here. They actually have the NPCs clipping through the ground or not standing upright. It's so good to know that glitches are still there. Common glitches.
Yeah.
New gas cloud tech improvements. They also have the observation deck for docking collars and the docking of the Javelin there for the Invictus Fleet Week, which is going to be awesome. Actually, going to be able to board one of those.
I was asking, what is the status on the TDDs? I'd love to be able to go and see what trade is doing.
Oh, there's. You mean they still don't display real time information. It's all just static.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but I'm just why not?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
That's
how about this? If I start working for CIG, I will let you know.
Well, no, I'm just saying, instead of all this effort that's going into updating us on what's going on with the medical bay, with the hospital, hey, what's going on with the TDD?
Yeah, give us.
How come we're not showing you, trade statuses that are ongoing?
What's the status on real-time information displays? I think that has to do with the Tony Z's quantum and quasar AI system, right?
So what is the status on that? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Wasn't there an update on that?
That would be good
ISC?
information.
According to the notes, there was an update on that.
Okay.
That was according. My bad, I'm reading the wrong note. That was from the monthly report. There's an update.
Ah, okay.
So an update from Tony Z on quantum, quasar, and virtual AI.
Also, in the PTU, there's a tab in the MobiGlass that will show you information about where things are being bought and at what quantity. So they're getting the tech that would eventually allow them to plug that into real-time monitors in TDD areas.
Awesome. Yeah, I heard about the journal entries.
Yeah.
The rumor was that that's actually being used to create essentially, air quotes, mobile jump towns, in the sense that it'll give everybody access to look at what's going on currently on the server they're on and where the hotspot is. And the thinking is that CIG is using that to try and get people to congregate at that location and, get it on, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with. It's public. You can decide whether to go there or not, get a group or try and go in single or, or ignore it completely, that's good gameplay to me.
Yeah, also, I see they have the new, the smuggler armor that they showed off they revealed last week. I mean, we saw concept art of this, I want to say a year ago now. But we're finally seeing the actual models for it. It looks great. I'm loving the helmet and chest piece.
Is that the leather looking stuff?
The leather one, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I gotta say, that's the first armor set I've seen in several years that I was like, oh, that's actually
right.
I'm interested. Yeah, I like it.
Very Firefly-esque.
Flash of it though.
Yeah. And they're showing us some more Orson stuff with Crusader. Definitely looking good, Crusader.
Yeah.
Looking very sci-fi, and that's good. We also have with the PTU, they have the Tonk now and the Starlifter, the Hercules Starlifter. What, both the M2 and A2, or is it just the
C2 and M2 is what I've seen.
Right. Okay. Right.
Videos for.
Right. Because I know one of them was delayed to for a later patch. So. But yeah, we got both two variants of the Hercules Starlifter, and we got the Nova tank in the PTU right now, which will eventually be in the coming weeks. And Cam, you've been in the PTU so far. How is it?
I'm stealing a Starlifter right now. Like literally, I just boarded this thing and just stole it.
Really?
To be fair, the guy had a tank in it and he was using it to shoot people. He actually hit my Aurora. Yes, an Aurora was hit with the tank. It did not die immediately. I'm surprised.
What?
Too.
I call bullshit.
I was hit. I took damage. Shields were down to 0. I survived somehow.
Interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong. The bulwark shields, which is the stock shields the Aurora comes with, are pretty tanky in terms of their HP. They just have no recharge time. Like they take forever to recharge.
I saw a video of a C2 taking 3 tank rounds in the nose, like dead center from less than 100 yards. And it took it. So pretty impressive for the shields.
There was someone in my chat the other day that said that the C2 gets killed in like 5 shots. So it might have been some desync. I don't know.
Interesting.
Could be.
Given the size, I would imagine that they should be harder targets to kill. I mean, harder targets.
Their opinion basically was that the tank's cannon was extremely powerful.
Here's some pictures of the cockpit here. I like the.
Look, Cam, I don't want to see pictures of your cockpit, okay?
Oh, also too in the trade, shall we say? I also grabbed a ballista that was sitting in the back.
Nice.
Yeah, ballistas are always fun. See, that's what we need to test. We need to test if we can what can take down a ship faster, the ballista or the tank.
I like the VTOL engines. Those are pretty.
Well, I got the monthly report here, but
I'm liking the turrets that they have for the C2. Basically, you get into the co-pilot seat, and it gives you an option to enter either the upper or the lower turret. But whichever one you get into, it automatically slaves the opposite turret to the turret that you're in. So, in other words, if you're in the rear upper turret, you can only fire towards the rear arc, the bottom turret also is firing towards the rear at the same target that you're shooting at.
Well, I don't know if it's been determined yet how accurate the other turret is. Meaning, is it going to hit like dead on? Is it aiming slightly off, way off?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything there, but definitely a cool feature. I hope it's a feature, not a bug, because that's definitely cool. I hope we get
I just
more
like the
of
fact that
for
they're
other
automated.
ships. Yes.
I'm all for more automated turrets in general. I'm not a fan of a actual physically manned turret unless it's, like a big sized one on a capital sized ship or something.
Yeah, if you're programming something that has like a fucking size stitch or some bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Hammerhead has some really good manned turrets.
Yeah, those are good because look at the size of those things, and you're shooting for like Yes, those are good man.
The carrot turrets
like,
I really like too. I mean, it has one remote
what?
turret, but it's got 3 manned ones.
Which turret?
The Carracks. The Carracks turrets.
Carrack. Oh yeah, those big. To me, those shouldn't. But you shouldn't. To me, those shouldn't be manned. Like, because think about it. I mean, like you're adding structural weakness to your system just by having to go out and physically man that thing. Whereas if you just had a seat in the cockpit area on the bridge deck, that's that much less chance of losing your atmosphere when taking damage.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah, but CIG's on the whole. It's cool to be in a turret.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, look, you have to, it's a balance between fun and realism.
Viable.
Well, yeah, it's also a balance between fun and realism. You know, it's like you have to sacrifice some things for realism. You have to sacrifice some things for fun.
They want the feel of being in this
World War II and
Millennium Falcon turrets in Star Wars. That's what they want.
But the problem is right now it's still even with the improvements they've made, and they have made a lot of improvements, but even with those improvements that they've made, it's still not, at least in my opinion, it's still not really viable to choose to be in a turret on a ship rather than just bringing a whole nother ship. And in my opinion, it should be directly more beneficial to the singular ship, at the very least for combat prowess, for you to be in a turret. If it's required for the turret to be manned, it should be much better for you to be in that turret for that single craft versus bringing 2 crafts, you know, of the same type, let's say. And as it is, that's not the case. That's not even close.
Yeah, I would also say that, in general, I think most people probably aren't going to get as much out of turret play unless they take, like, orgs take the time to actually learn how to fly with turrets, in the sense of like getting a team of people who are who become proficient in those turrets, and the pilot at the same time becomes
Have you
proficient
flown in a
in
turret
how to
recently?
fly with turrets. In other words, he knows not to do janky stuff.
Have you been in a turret recently?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not in 3.14 or whatever, but 3.12 I was. I'm just saying, like, it's, you know, unless you got people who are spending the time and the effort to learn how to effectively use them, they're not that great to me.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. If you take someone who hasn't done any PvP combat at all and you stick them in a ship, they're going to be absolute garbage at it.
Well, yeah,
People who are really good at it have spent hours and hours perfecting their setup, their controls, their tactics, and, you know, command over their ship. So
yeah, you and I have been spending the whole week talking about
say
that.
5 hours with a crew of people in a ship in turrets, and they've figured out how to be effective at it. I think there's potential that it could be pretty decent. Another issue with turret gameplay right now is that desync in servers is really bad.
True.
True. But at the same point, though, you shouldn't have to be an expert to make something at minimum viable.
Look, PvE is viable in turrets. You can do that all day long. If PvP is what you're talking about, then I mean, there's going to be people that are in some ships. You're just not going to kill them. They're that good. I can't PvP.
Well, I mean, sure, and it does depend what you're bringing. You know, if I'm in a fucking caterpillar and I'm fighting off against a vanguard or 2 or something, yeah, that's going to be a fucking bad time for me. At the same point, though, even just PvE ways, because we've all seen where it's like, depending on the server we get, if you're doing even bunker missions or you're going through an 890, most of the time the AI pretty much just stands there and gets fucking shot. Every now and again, they'll act like their fucking SEAL team sits and just fucking insta-gib you out of, it might even be like they'll start shooting through walls or some shit, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? So it's like, even once we have actual AI fighting us, because that is right now, like what we've got right now is nowhere near what their actual abilities.
They're essentially they're dumb AI that know how to shoot a gun. That's about it.
So here's my question back at you, Cam. When we do actually have an AI that behaves in a manner that makes one reconsider whether or not he's capable of going up against them, as in, man, do I really want to try and take this guy on? What will have it advanced with turrets to make us more capable with turrets against that improved AI? Because if as it is right now, you probably could barely take down an AI that went SEAL Team 6 in its like right now status. So what happens when it's SEAL Team 12 level?
Well, exactly. And therein is the problem. It's like, how do you make manned turrets viable?
Right.
And I think to a certain degree, or I worry that to a certain degree, CIG have kind of written themselves into a corner here.
Yeah,
because they want these manned turrets. They want this World War II fighter gameplay kind of shit where you've got like a bomber coming in and it's got its tail gunner, pew, 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 trying to take down the fighter and shit. But the realities of the game that's being created around us and the mechanics being put in, I don't really see that as being viable. So at least by and large, you might be able to script something like that, especially with like AI enemies. You can obviously script whatever you want with that. But if they're acting outside of a script, outside of I will do this, I will then fly right behind this ship so it can shoot me. You know, if you have actual AI that's going, oh shit, let me go and get out of the way. You know, hey, I'm going to go and try to stay out of its line of fire as much as possible. You know, where they're acting realistic, you know, to the degree AI can, you're going to be having a fucking bad time in a manned turret just because the AI, and especially with AI can always react faster than you as a player can. They're computers.
Well, yeah, they can aim on target while moving much more accurately than any human can do.
Exactly. Versus your average player. And again, you know, obviously you're going to have some people who, they've gone and they've configured their sensitivity settings just right. They've got their whole setup here, and they've spent hours and hours perfecting it. Yeah, they're going to be fucking smoking shit down, no problem. But for the average player who they're just grabbing their keyboard and mouse, maybe their joysticks, whatever, and they're going and playing, you know, they do some amount of adjustments, like, hey, whoa, this does not feel good at all. Let me tweak this, let me adjust that a little bit. But they aren't getting like anal about it. The question is, how is that person going to be able to take that on?
I think the telling feature will be that on whether or not turrets are viable will be when we do have good working AI, look at how many player ships are employing AI to man their turrets instead of asking their friends to man those turrets. I think that'll be because that'll be the only workaround. You know, hasn't been done.
Well, I can't say for other people, but for myself, if I were given a choice, do you want to man a turret or do you want to help manage shields while we're being attacked? I'm probably going to personally go with the managing power and shields. So I can totally. You know.
But do you tell the fifth guy that you got, hey, just hang out in the hold until we land, or
man the turret,
man the turret, and if you decide, I want an AI to man the turret, and Bob 5 stay in the hold, that's pretty good indicator of the status of where turrets are at.
Yeah, or even the bladed turrets. Once we have the AI blade, it's like for my Carrier, unless I've got like a full-time crew I'm running with, I'm probably going to blade as many turrets as I can, just because it's like that gameplay as it is right now. Turret gameplay still sucks. And this is my opinion, but it's they definitely improved it from what it was. However, at this point, it's still very janky, very hard to maintain a target and actually hit them with munitions, especially when, if you've got, let's say, if you've got laser repeaters, And that's one of the standard weapons on a lot of turrets is the standard laser repeater. Okay, cool. I'm pewing shots out there, but what if, especially if I'm like, hey, I want to go and have laser cannons, or I want to go and have disruptors or scatterguns or anything else other than these laser repeaters. You need to have something that'll kind of tell you, especially if you're firing a lot of shots, not only when is my gun going to be able to fire, which I don't think they have that really right now. Like anything showing like for a cannon of any kind or rail guns or anything like that, there's nothing really showing when is my weapon ready to fire. You're just mashing down on your trigger, hoping that you maintain your sight picture on the enemy when you finally fire your shot. There's no real feedback on that. That alone, but even just looking at the standard repeaters, it still feels very clunky trying to aim at even AI enemies, let alone players who, of course, as players were incredibly chaotic and crazy and doing stupid shit.
Doesn't that have a lot to do with the pilot, though?
To a point,
I think it's
yes.
a combination of both.
But the problem is you have, especially when even talking about AI, you've got, if you're talking about one ship fighting another ship, you have two objects in a three-dimensional world moving in usually three directions at once, because you're not just flying in a straight line, you're flying, you're going
but that's
up
not what
and
turrets are
straight
designed
and
for.
left. Well, and therein is the problem. It's like, it's like, for instance, a Carrick's turrets.
Turrets were meant for bombers, would fly in straight lines and take hits.
Bingo. Therein lies the problem. And now, sure, once they go and get the like physicalized components and all this shit in, and ships no longer get destroyed immediately, maybe ships will, because they're more tanky, at least before they get disabled, let alone destroyed. That'll be a lot harder to destroy a ship outright. Maybe ships will go and stop evading as much. I doubt it. That'd be kind of fucking stupid. But as it is, for example, the Carrick. It's got 4 turrets, top down, bottom. Top down, left, right. So generally speaking, you might be able to get 2 turrets on a target at any one time, with one of them having the best shot angle. Okay, I've got 1 turret with 2 sides 4 guns. What's that really going to get me? Even against, like, say, a Cutlass, I'm going to have to go. That's going to be a protracted battle. Like, that's going to take minutes. And a lot of that is going to just be the pilot going, the gunner going, hey, I need you to rotate this way. No, this way. No, I can't see it. Now, obviously, part of that is you need to go and make sure your pilot knows what they're doing. Absolutely. It's like if you have someone who, when you say roll left, they roll right, or they angle up, or whatever the fuck else, you guys an idiot. But at the same point, you're still on a 3-dimensional object moving in 3 directions, trying to go and maintain a sight view on another 3-dimensional object moving in 3 directions at once. This is not simple shit. And the fact that you're, especially with turrets, you do not control your own movement. You can control your own rotation to a limited degree, but it is not good gameplay as it is right now, in my opinion. They need to have some functionality that will let you, in my opinion, the best way would be to be able to have the turret have some kind of a auto track of some kind. So I'm not talking like the gimbal, the auto gimbal, whatever bullshit that was, but something that would be able to say, hey, keep the turret generally facing this target. You still have to aim. It's not going to go and keep your aim at the same place there, but something that'll keep you generally facing the target when it's coming up, so you just have to focus on your actual aim. Something like that might make it a bit more viable, just because as it is, you're going, shit, I'm slewing my turret around while trying to go and aim in this direction, while our ship's spinning, and I'm trying to counter that, while I'm trying to fire at this guy. It's just not viable. You've got too much going on at once, too much for the gunner to do. And like I said, you're gonna. I think once you see either NPC gunners come in and or blades come in, and especially when you see both of those in at the same point, the number of people, even once, because obviously as soon as the mechanic comes out, everyone's going to jump on it. Everyone's going to want to go and test it and see what it's like. So that won't really be a good time to test. But if you were to wait a year from there and go, okay, let's look at the statistics. How many people are using players as their gunners, and how many people are throwing NPCs, or how many people are throwing blades onto their ships?
I just had an idea about that as well.
Are going to be crazy.
I just had an idea about that as well, going against players and turrets, which is that now this falls back on what CIG said in the past, which doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be, still the way they go, but they were saying that you're going to be able to hire crew and you'll be able to actually advance that AI crew's skills in certain areas, i.e., his gunner ability, or things like that, which means if you take that from a gameplay perspective, you go into an encounter and it's going to be a random AI you're going up against. If you have an AI that you have hired to man that turret, and he's building his skill levels, and you've got him, I'm just picking random numbers here, but let's say he's level 3 of 12. Every time you go into combat with that guy in the turret, he adds a small percentage to increasing to his next skill level.
Yeah,
I think you're going to find ship owners who want that AI instead of their friend getting in, because it means that they have a more skilled gunner in the long term. And the longer they have that guy, the higher level he is, you're still going to run into encounters where it's just a random AI skill level that you're going up against. So your AI is probably going to be stronger no matter what every single time. So it's actually going to feed people to not want players to get into their turrets.
I fully agree.
It's part of that training. That occurred to me when you were talking about
I fully agree. And like I said, that maybe it's just something where
you need
honestly, I'm
need
not
a
sure
human leveler.
And that's the problem. It's just as a human being in a turret for almost any ship, you've got so much you need to do. Just to go and be able to get shots on target here. And then on top of that, for most ships, hey, I've got, hey, you scored 2 hits on that fighter. Cool. That splashes their shields, and their shields are already up, and you've done nothing.
Yeah. And the other way that they might go is, and I don't know, I don't have an opinion on this yet because I haven't thought about it enough, is maybe they dumb down turret AI to behave more like humans, i.e., doing more calculations to figure out what the turret rotation and gun elevation and the ship spinning, like
maybe the NPCs are going to be much worse gunners than they could otherwise be, potentially. But at that point, then too, it's like, what's even the point of having these things on ships when, again, if you do that, why would I ever put someone in my Cutlass Black turret when instead if they bring a whole nother Cutlass Black, there's a clear winner there. Of course I want to bring another ship.
Or just slave all your turrets facing forward, and you just broadside people with nothing in it.
No, exactly. And I am
which explains why the freelancer can't shoot forward from the turret.
Yes. But I don't really see a clear answer besides automating some of that. So like I was saying, if you had some kind of a functionality that would keep a turret generally facing and elevated to a target, so again, not a auto aim, you still have to go and maintain, and obviously they could go and adjust small inaccuracies based on whatever, and maybe you could have blades that would go and reduce these inaccuracies or whatever. So it's not going to be like a perfect auto tracker, but something that would just keep the turret both rotated
Soft
and
lock.
elevated toward a target. Whatever target is locked to it, and then you're focusing on just fighting those general inaccuracies to shoot the enemy there. And then on top of that, that would also open up things like, for example, hey, you've just been hit by an e-warfare attack. The programs that go and run these standard module for the turret are gone. Now you are back to you are now fully controlling elevation and rotation there.
You're in manual mode.
Yeah, and therein lies additional gameplay loops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That might work. That would require a whole lot of work though from CIG to make that viable. But I'm not really certain other than that.
I could see them doing like a soft lock.
Yeah, that's what
basically
I mean.
it's pointing the gun at them, but what it's not calculating is any kind of lead or lag. So yeah, you might like if they constantly change directions and stuff, you might occasionally actually just get a hit because they cross the zone at the right time. But
I'm
otherwise, you need to actually calculate in what your lead is to manually as a human.
It's not going to aim the guns for you. It's just going to go and keep your viewpoint on them and keep the turret rotated and elevated so that it's so essentially it just keeps the ship as much as possible within the turret's physical limitations. It keeps the ship in a circle or a box that is your central viewpoint of the turret. Beyond that, you are still needing to manually aim in that box as they go and they juke all about, and your ship is rotating, and oops, you just lost their target here, but as soon as you rotate back on, your turret will automatically go and readjust itself. It'll go, I have line of sight of the target again. Okay, let me just go. Okay, now you are looking. Now the target is in your box or your circle here. Go aim at them. Because as it is, it's like when you're flying around, you're like, oh shit, the target's over here. No, wait, it's over here. No, wait, I lost it.
Yeah.
Like that's a good, I don't know, 30 to 50% of any kind of turret battle. You're just trying to figure out where the fuck are you. Sure, you've got an arrow over there, but you're still trying to go and rotate and elevate and oh shit, no, you're over here now, and just it's fucking crazy. You're doing too much.
Yep.
And it just makes it a not enjoyable experience, let alone viable for why you'd actually have someone just logistically in that turret versus bringing another ship. And that would I think would assist in making it more viable or at least more fun. Because as it is too with players, sure, logistics will play a point in it, and some people are always going to go and try to min-max as much as possible no matter what. But if it's fun gameplay, people are going to do it, regardless of whether it logistically makes sense or not. So I think that would help.
But, I'm in agreement. Yeah. Oh, I was just thinking of the term TID. Proves your point.
What's it stand for?
Time to male testicles.
Kinky.
In other words, how long it takes. Like you give a group of people the option to move things about in your sandbox, and it's actually a technical term. TID, time to till somebody draws or makes the boxes that you give them into the shape of yeah.
So in other words, Valve.
How fast does your group of people go and do funny shit rather than making logical decisions? And that's
in other words, the source engine.
Yeah. That's where I was laughing when Cam was talking about, it doesn't matter if it's logistically makes sense. People are going to go do it if it's fun. And I'm just thinking, yep, TID. How fast are people going to go do stupid stuff?
TID, time into generations. I don't know. Also, I just want to correct myself from before. The Quantum and Quasar and Virtual AI update, that's not from Tony Z. That's not this month. That's next month.
Damn it.
So we're going to get an update from him from next in this coming month of May.
I meant to ask, where are pictures of that armor?
What armor?
They were in Inside Star Citizen.
Are you talking
there aren't. I thought you said there were some pictures in the monthly report.
No, they were from Inside Star Citizen.
Okay, gotcha.
No, but if you guys want, I do have the monthly report, notes from it, rather, and it's relatively small this month compared to usual.
Yeah. Well, then again, they're doing the Invictus launch week. They've got the ships coming out. They've got the pre-fly they're preparing for. And we've also got the Ninetales event potentially.
Well, this is the monthly report of April, not... now that came out this week. So we've got AI content features and tech. So we've got 4 things here. They created landing officers who give directions on where to position for landings. Supported work on sleep and hygiene behaviors for your character, and I assume for AI as well. And then we got progressed on AI subcomponent targeting and completed tasks to allow NPCs to transition from 0G into a usable and vice versa.
Now that I can't wait to see.
So like being able to see NPCs go to and from, gravity to not to microgravity situations, like say in combat and stuff like that. That'd be cool. That's pretty much what that's the baseline tech for that, essentially.
If you look in the Discord,
I see it.
I just put in 2 pics here. So I think that.
So I assume you just saw the. I assume you just found the Bengal.
No, I my server crashed and I haven't jumped back in. That's not me. I stole that off the leak server, but I think that just shows a great sense of scale between here's a person in the Hercules, here's a Hercules and the Bengal.
Yikes! Yeah.
And it's gun turret.
It looks like it's a turret on the Bengal. That's how big it is.
No. The Hercules is landed on.
Yes. By the way, here for anyone watching, here is the Hercules star lifter, and there's a person on the ramp. This is inside a hangar.
Yep.
And here is that same ship on top of a Bengal carrier.
and for people who don't have the PTU, there's also Board Gamer shows a
7-minute video of the Bengal carrier in action. He even shows footage of it blowing up a Banu defender in seconds.
I'm saying he shows an MSR trying to land on the Bengal carrier, and that would give people a good reference of
there's
how
that
big
too.
Something is.
Oh, I was gonna say just the Banu defender that tried to take it on.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a little blip, and when it blows up, it looks like this tiny green globule on the screen when it blows up compared to the ship. It's just like, that's how big it is. And the Banu Defender isn't a small ship. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's a fighter, but it's a 2-seater fighter with beds inside. It's got an interior. It's a pretty decently sized ship for something of its of that classification, and it looks tiny. That's because this is the biggest ship a player will own. The Bengal.
No, you can't own it. You can hold it, but you can't own it.
Right. Well, own quote unquote. Because in order to get one, you have to find a wreck and then restore it.
Yep, and then as soon as someone else manages to go and kick you and your guys off of it and fly
then
with
it's
theirs now.
Yep, so pretty much it's like, okay, so you restored it, spent all that money, time, and effort, or in-game money, time, and effort, the creds, whatever, on it, and then someone takes it from you. That's going to feel horrible.
Let's face it, it's not ownable by you. It's ownable by an organization.
Yeah, and more likely mega organizations.
Right.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Me and my buddy, we're
oh my god.
2.
If 2 people can manage to hold it for at least a week, I'm going to. That would. No. I want to give them a medal.
They couldn't even, and they couldn't make enough money to refurbish it either.
No. Well, if they managed to take it off of somebody else.
Well, I mean,
It's the only way they'd be able to do it.
Could they manage to go and kill a group that's on there? Potentially, it's very unlikely, but potentially. Would they be able to hold it? Only if they fucking throw it in the middle of dead space.
They would have to like quantum the hell out of there, leave the system, and hide for a week.
Well, it's likely that there's going to be some way that it gets tracked passively or something. Like every time you use a Mobi-Glass or interact with their star map or something like that.
Right. All right. Moving on though with the rest of the monthly report. The art, characters, and environments update. We got supported work on X-ray shader and skeletal models for medical gameplay UI. So that's pretty cool. You know, we're gonna get like X-ray stuff and all that. Continued work on backpacks and holographic projections for physical inventory UI. Most areas of Orison are final art complete, and most colonial outpost room architecture and props moved into the final art phase. So they're almost done with the colonial outpost stuff. Art, ships, and weapons. We've got Tumbril Nova in final review, so I mean, because it's in the PTU right now, so no duh. Constellation Taurus, which is the final variant of the constellation yet to be in game, is currently in release prep stage. White box completed for an anticipated ship, quote unquote anticipated ship. It doesn't say what ship, just says anticipated.
No, the ship is called the Anticipated Ship.
The Anticipated. I like that. I'm gonna name one of my ships that eventually.
Make sure it's something that either no one wanted or everyone wanted.
Exactly. Well, it would be the perfect name for a Carrick, but I'm not naming my Carrick that. I already named it.
No,
my Carrick is named Cast in the Shadows.
Like,
so.
No one wanted. What's a ship that literally no one wanted?
The Rock PS?
No, a ship. An actual ship.
The Aurora?
Yeah, so you could name an Aurora the Anticipated.
I was poking fun at Mando. Sorry.
For what?
The Aurora.
Yeah, well, why not?
Isn't that your glass coffin?
I have named mine the glass coffin. I'll call a different ship the... What is a good ship? I mean, I guess if I get a Redeemer ever, I'll name that the Anticipated.
Redeemer? I barely...
Yeah, because everyone hates it and everyone loves it.
Yeah.
Grey Cat Tractor Beam going into final art. Wait, don't we already have that? I guess
that's the handheld two-handed tractor beam.
Oh, the big one.
Big industrial.
Gotcha. Yeah, the big one.
At least that would be my assumption.
I forgot that they were making that, the big, like rifle-sized one. And then salvage tool going through white box. Got both of them are. So just improve, progress on there. Yeah, the salvage tool is gonna be fun. Data and I are planning on ripping apart someone else's ship with it.
While they're in it?
I'm sure.
Potentially. They're dumb enough to just sit there and watch, yeah.
Engine and
I kind of like.
Odds are if we continue, it'll just blow up and kill all three of us.
Probably.
I liked Dada's idea of if like people park, not on a landing pad, but like just off of it, and like start cluttering up outside drop zones, i.e., like Port Olisar. You should be able to go and strip them down.
Yeah.
They're not protected by the landing pad's magical powers, so yeah, sure.
Yeah, like if it's been sitting there for more than a half hour, I think it should be fair game for you to go and start, tractor beaming pieces off of it, stripping it.
What could possibly go wrong?
Soon to be on a T-shirt.
The question is, how do we like give it, so it looks like it's resting on blocks and it's had its wheels stolen?
Just give us some. You know what? Take those orange Kovlex crates from the Rex and just put those on where the landing gear should be. There you go.
There you go.
All right. Engine and graphics and VFX. We've got improved ground vehicle wheel and shred code. Not even animation or anything. Code. More part of the Gen 12 renderer were progressed and enabled, such as VFX particles and geometry support. New non-Earth-like textures for volumetric clouds and optimization. Shields, the new shield tech, SDF tech. I'm blanking on what the SDF... The new shield tech, the stuff where...
Sign distance field.
Thank you. We got multiple optimizations were applied to back-end thread management. Work progressed on the server meshing service, and work progressed on the large-scale destruction events. I'm very curious as to what that will be. Because that is also in quotes. Large-scale destruction event. So odds are blowing up like javelins, probably.
Hooray!
Features, characters and weapons, gameplay, and mission. Work on drag and dropping items between inventories alongside with nesting them. Progress on having players leaving a lootable body behind upon death. Oh, nice. Continued planning for the upcoming cargo refactor. By the way, that means that's pretty much like tier 0 of Death of a Spaceman right there. Yeah. Having a lootable body when you die?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Further development on spawn closets, which was supposed to be in this in 3.13. So.
And it wasn't.
Yeah, but probably gonna be like 3.13.
Oh my God! CIG broke their word for the first time ever.
Said no one. Said no one. Added directional thruster wind and dust plume VFX, so they're just gonna make that look better than it is. Which honestly, it already looks pretty good. Cool. So, yeah. Progress made on thruster capacitors. Afterburners will be powered by capacitors that drain quickly and charge slowly. And finally, we got vehicle tech. Focus on radar and scanning features and functionality. So hopefully that means we'll be getting scanners for our ground vehicles again. Because we used to have that, and then they got rid of that. Especially since I own 2 exploration ground vehicles that are supposed to have scanners, and they don't have them right now. Also, to Hilm29 in the chat says Grand Theft Empire regarding our discussion on Bengal Carriers. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's going to be orgs that are just dedicated to just taking other people's... I don't know how long they'll last, but... I mean, there's an org for everything. There's even an org that dedicated to lamps, right? The Church of Lamp or whatever.
Lamp.
Followers of the Lamp. Because you can have religious-themed orgs and...
Do you know the way?
The way of the luminosity.
Ooh, maybe.
So they can actually see the light.
Can you see the light?
They're actually out to extinguish all lights, so only theirs shine.
Yeah, so they're the only sources of light. Everyone has to come to them. Nothing beats marketing like mass genocide of lights, huh?
Photon killers.
They'll start the extinguished suns because they realized, oh wait, the sun's also our light. Anyway,
take down a system.
Anyway, we also got from the Sprint report, continue work on hospitals featuring props, emergency drop-off hangars, greenery, nurse stations, and more. Gas cloud work for the jump point between Stanton and Pyro. Demonstrating ship-to-station docking featuring a javelin, which is...
I wonder what those are.
Wait. Hold on. What did you just say? Gas cloud tech between Pyro and Stanton?
Yeah, for gas cloud work for the jump point between Stanton and Pyro.
Oh, yeah. So it's the detail that they had when they showed off the jump point last year, or not last year, the year before.
19.
That was like a big water swirl. So I'm just wondering, does this mean they've moved away from that and they're going with some kind of cloud that you're flying through instead of?
I think they're going. If you're seeing the stream, I think this is what they're going for.
Yeah, it's the location. This. There's going to be a gas cloud around the location. They're not talking about what happens when you go in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. For anyone watching, this is what they're talking about. What's on screen right now.
I'm just not a fan of the toilet bowl swirly.
Yeah,
I'm wondering. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I really hope they completely change what they showed at CitizenCon because I hated that whole concept.
Yeah.
Plus, like we said last week, the jump points need to be much bigger if they're going to have constant traffic.
Well, remember they do have different size jump points. Now, there's small, medium, and large jump points themselves. But
True.
Totally right. You're totally right.
But still, so that brings up a really good question, though. Like, let's say, when they say that only a certain size ship can fit through, a freelancer can fit through, what is it? Like, it's the biggest ship that can fit through a small?
Freelancer is still I want to say it's a medium, but it might be a small jump ship.
Okay, medium. Here's my question, though. Regardless of what type we're actually asking. So if that means that it can only fit through that size, up to that size of a hole, does that mean that hole can only have one ship going through it at a time?
We don't know.
What does that do to traffic going back
we don't
and
know.
forth?
It kills traffic, is what it does.
I mean, maybe that's just a small, stable wormhole that's always there.
Yeah.
There's potential that you could find a larger one that's faster, shorter. I mean, they haven't really talked about wormholes much.
Yeah.
What their plans are.
I just wonder what they are thinking of once they realize how limiting that could be if they do actually go, one ship at a time. Guys from side A, he's going now.
It could be that you can only have one ship initiating jump at a time. But after that, you can have an infinite number of ships traveling. Potentially.
Yeah, it's very unlikely that you're actually going to be able to see or collide with people in there. It's going to probably be instanced.
True.
Now, I was wondering, though, what the emergency drop-off pads, like, I'm assuming that's medical, like, help, my buddy just got shot in the leg or whatever the fuck, and, help him kind of shit, but...
As far as what?
So one of the things Mando read up earlier when he was going through the list was an emergency drop-off pad, which I believe was for the hospital.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to know kind of what are they envisioning with that? Is that just going to be like, I land my, my Carrick or my Pisces or my Aurora or my Valkyrie or whatever, and drag my buddy off and go, help, and doctors come running and get him on a stretcher or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I would think they put
pretty cool.
Yeah, like a helipad on the roof kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yep. I've had to do that. We dropped a Marine who landed in a tree and broke his leg, and pretty badly. And so we got to fly into downtown Honolulu and land a CH-53 on top of a big hospital and freak a bunch of people out. Yeah, it was quite interesting seeing the looks on people's faces. I quite forgot just how big that helicopter is to people who aren't used to it. Going, oh yeah, huh? Oh well, they'll be talking about this. Let's get out of here. Time to go.
Can we stop by McDonald's over here?
Yeah. You think this will fit through the drive-through?
I've fucking seen people taking Humvees through fucking drive-throughs.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've seen a what you call it? Oh god, the four-wheeled infantry vehicle for the army. Well, eight-wheeled. Sorry.
You mean the fucking Strikers?
Yeah, I've seen a Striker go through a drive-through, a McDonald's drive-through.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not surprised at all, honestly.
Army training, sir.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a fucking tank rolling through one. I would not be surprised. Disappointed, but not surprised.
Yeah. Is he back?
I
hear
returned.
The chair creaking.
No, I've returned.
My chair.
Alright, and I returned just in time to read Floyd Looney's message in the chat saying, Star Citizen has wormholes now? Where does it go? Oh, dude. Alright, so Star Citizen... Okay, so I'll explain.
The worm makes the hole, you go in the hole, you find the worm, and the worm eats you.
It's actually an apple, and the worm goes through the apple.
Okay.
Okay, so pretty much Star Citizen
on the
in Star Citizen there is no interstellar travel in Star Citizen is achieved through jump points, which are pretty much just wormholes that take you from one star system to another. They're not in game yet, of course, because the tech is still being developed, and also we're griping about the visuals as usual.
Well, because what they showed us was not exactly.
Yeah, no, what
Right.
they showed us, we talked about it last week. If you want to watch that, so.
It looks like a toilet bowl swirl.
It does.
Flush your toilet.
It's a bit more colorful than the toilet bowl swirl. Okay, for some people it's a bit more colorful. Why the silence? I think that yours is more colorful.
Oh no, I'm just. I got nothing else positive to say, so I'm not saying anything. No, I believe Cam had a question for you though.
Oh yeah.
Helipads.
The emergency drop-off pads.
Oh yeah.
Do we got any info on that?
Other than what I just read, no.
Exactly. Well, go find some.
Inquiring minds want
No,
to
it just
know.
says emergency drop-off hangers. So.
Oh, hangers.
Yeah, so it's way more tedious and takes longer than a landing pad. Yeah. So this way you have a greater risk of your patient dying before he gets to the hospital.
Yeah, guy's bleeding out on you, and you're trying to angle the nose of your Carrigan just right because the hanger barely fits it by 4 inches.
I hate how fucking small those hangers are.
And then you smush 5 doctors, and then they turn you away.
Remember that time?
No, you avoided the doctors, but you completely smashed the gurney.
No, Data has smushed NPCs while landing in a hangar.
I mashed them good too.
He has smushed them with the landing gear. Floyd Looney says, that makes sense, color-coded jump points. No, they're not really color-coded. We're just complaining that the visual effects... Let me pull up their visual.
Well, it depends on what kind of toilet flushy you put into it.
The early gameplay they showed off did not meet what we would consider good gameplay.
I mean, then again, it was the literal first time we ever saw it at all in the game. It's been
it's not. I mean, it is the first time we saw it in the game. It was the first time we saw it in the game, but there was an original version of it which looked a little bit different.
Well, yeah, but that was the first time we had seen it being.
This is the first time it was actually in game, yeah, like the proof of concept.
In game part.
Yeah, I guess it would be a proof of concept type thing.
It was one step up from being white box.
Pretty much. So it's honestly, I'm willing to not jump down their throats on it, at least until we see what they actually give us when they put pyro in. And even then, shit's subject to change.
Okay, here. Yeah, so I got the footage up now. I got the footage up now. Hold on, let me skip ahead. So there's the jump point. It takes you from one star system, which you're currently in, and takes you to the next one, and the visual is kind of boring.
I think we're all in agreement that we're all just kind of.
It just looks like an oversized Stargate, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
I never liked the Stargate designs. It looked boring and simplistic.
That's the outside version. But
and then the visuals inside the tunnel itself were very. Yeah.
The actual gameplay of going through the wormhole was I did not like what they showed at all. It doesn't look fun.
Yeah, no, I do agree. They need something better than that, and just the visuals of it, the gameplay of it. We need better. But again,
to me, it's lacking here. Yeah.
So
I also don't know how I feel about this water-like effect.
That's what we were talking about. That's the toilet.
Yeah.
Bowl. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to come up with something better.
Hopefully.
But side note, you can fit 3 tanks on the 890 jumps hangar platform, the hangar elevator. You can fit 3 tanks on it.
That will definitely beef up the 890 jumps combat capacity. So yeah, there's your. So that's what a jump point at the moment looks like. I'm really hoping it changes visually. I doubt they're going to change the concept of it. I don't mind the concept. I like the idea of like you're actually flying. You're physically real time flying through a wormhole. That's great. I just change the visuals. Like the particle effects. It looks like you're literally going through the plumbing system.
By the way, I'll note when you're touring the Javelin during the event, apparently, if you stay on the Javelin, once it switches, because again, the Javelin docks with the station, players can go and enter it, go through the tour, blah, blah, blah. If you stay on the Javelin, when it's about to undock, you get a crime stat, and then you get fucking slaughtered.
Really?
So
I know.
You're welcome.
I know they removed one of the sensor doors, the sensor operated doors on the one of the Hercules Starlifters in the most recent PTU patch because
they removed all.
It was causing
like buttons. The buttons.
Yeah, because it was causing crashing, which is like game crashing.
It was looping in the background continually until the server would die. So.
Floyd Looney, after seeing what the CitizenCon wormholes looks like, he's now saying it's light through an esophagus, which is not wrong.
It was very organic for some fucking reason.
It just that
was just a placeholder shader, most likely.
Again, I really hope that just
the way, not even the shader, but just the way it was.
It looked like really wet. Yeah, it looked like water or wet muscle.
Textured.
Yeah. Like again, ignoring the color or the texture of it, the way it was moving and shit. It literally felt like you were in like a living creature or something. You know, color and texture of it aside, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like I think I got what they were going for with it.
But again,
it was still really weird.
All I'm hoping for is just a visual change. Or all I'm expecting is a visual change. I'm hoping for a bit more, but
I just want to take a shot on one side and wake up on the other.
I mean, sure, but you'll have endless madness in between.
Well, you'd have to have someone fly you because you have to you actually have to fly through them yourself.
That's what my automated ship systems are for, right?
So here's the question: if I'm flying Constellation into a jump point, and then I detach my Merlin while I'm in the fucking wormhole, what happens?
You probably got to buy a new Merlin.
And get a new buddy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I figured while I had this up, I'd look back at the armor archetypes panel that they had, talking about the different armors, because we saw that they're finally... There's that...
I got a question.
The smuggler armor they just showed off, it's right there. That's the concept art for it.
I got a question.
Mando, can you hear call sign?
I can, yeah. What's your question?
Okay.
I'm not trying to point fingers or I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just asking. This is actually just a straight question. Does anyone else feel like there is one that how do I say this? I'm noticing there seems to be an overall trend in all the armors that we're seeing, and I can't put my finger on it, but I'm just going to throw these words out there, and I'm not being exacting. This is generalizing, but I noticed there seems to be like the kind of like rounded shoulders and just kind of I don't.
You okay?
What I'm getting at is I think Jay Lee's really good at what he does, and I like a lot of the stuff he puts out. But I'm starting to get a sense that there's still kind of like a one one track direction that armors are going in. And I just started noticing this after watching just this the latest armor update. And I'm wondering if it wouldn't be good for them to find one other person, maybe over in Europe, who also does armors, just to get that kind of like completely different clashing concept style. And I'm wondering if anyone else sees what I'm saying, which is, I know there's variety in the armors, but if you like step back, they're like all the heavy armors have that general kind of like kimono style to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A little, yeah. I've also noticed that a lot of the armors have a very, like, pieces look to them. Like, it's not a lot of plates kind of cobbled together type. Like, it's not solid pieces. There are a few that are solid pieces, like maybe 3. You know, like the Orc Mark V, I think, is like one of them, where it's just like, you know, you got the torso part, you got the abdomen part. But, you know, with a lot of armors, like I think the Orc Mark X, the Orc Mark 10, I mean, is one of the best examples. Or the Inquisitor armor is one of the best examples, where it's a lot of pieces made together to form the armor.
Yeah,
which is something.
I was going more for like, if you think about it, like look at the from like breast level up. You kind of look at the shape of the shoulders, and then going into the neck. Almost all the armors have the same kind of like rounded edges in that zone, and I'm wondering if that's like a Jay Lee thing. I guess is kind of the direction I'm going.
Actually, that makes me question if it's a like mechanical, like an animation thing. Like they need that for head movement for characters.
It could be.
If we're talking about like shoulders and stuff, they have to have enough space in between the armor for the shoulder to move without the armor clipping together. They're really trying to stay away from armor clipping.
Right. I'm more talking about just like when you look at the armor sets, it seems like they're all kind of rounded in the same zones, and I'm just wondering if that's like a Jay Lee style in general, like just like that's his concept of body style, whereas somebody else might have a slightly different take on it, like they might be more a slight bit more angular. That's I guess the question that I'm having. Like, are we seeing a one-track style in not based on them trying to do it, but just because they're using one general artist for a lot of their armors?
I do. Honestly, I've been thinking the same thing for a bit here. And part of it is too that armors do have to be modular, generally speaking, and fit in a certain like they have to fit within certain constraints and shit. But even within that, it has felt for a while that all the armor types, it feels like it would all be like one company, so to speak, making all of the armors. They're all following a very similar design choice versus like the ships. It's like, hey, here's a Tavaran ship.
Like, I'd say when it comes to the ship,
that's where I'm going.
When it comes to the ships, you look at it and you go, okay, that's definitely a Drake ship. Oh, that's an Aegis ship. You know, you look at, that's Anvil. It's got the iconic, you know, circular thingamabob on the roof. You know, it's like that's, and they each have their own identifying marks and design traits and design language that makes that whatever company ship it is, Drake, Aegis, Anvil, Asperia, you know, Origin. But with the armors, they really kind of, the armors feel lazy in that regard. Like, there's no design language.
It's just different. This is their Nomad line. This is their Bandit line. This is their Marine line.
That is what it feels like. Yeah. It all feels like it's made by the same manufacturer, and they need to go and change that and diversify that.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, just retcon, like, okay, this armor's made by, you know, these armors are made by the same company, whereas these ones aren't, or whatever. But I mean,
well, that's where I was thinking. Maybe if they brought in like some European design, they might be able to do something like that, where it's like, hey, here's the Banu armors, and here's the, you know, and create those kind of distinct different lines, maybe. And I'm not trying to take away anything from Jay Lee's talents or capabilities. I think he's really good. I don't mean anything that I'm talking about in a negative way.
It's just we do need more
variety.
Not just like variety, but we need more design
different way of
distinction
thinking
from what we're getting right now. Because it's like we've got variety, and that variety looks good, but it still looks like it's all coming from a single design choice or design template, so to
Well,
speak.
in some ways, every armor is built to a template because it has to be built a certain way to fit on the skeleton.
And you're not wrong there, but it's like just the general. It's like, hey, here's the shoulders, and it's like, okay, sure. Generally, shoulders are all going to be very, very similarly shaped, but outside of that, it's like, okay, they have to fit within the constraints of like the seats and everything here. So they can't be too big, or anything like that. But even
where's like
those
fractal armor?
Yeah.
Or shards or spikes?
Where's armor, like fractal armor? You could have something that looks very, very angular, meant to go in and block off disrupt any kind of radar coming at you, radar signatures, to allow you to be stealthy.
Or maybe mirror finish to deflect lasers.
Yeah,
it
takes just a little bit of that laser damage off you or something.
You're talking more about the way the armor interacts with the environment and not the aesthetics or how the armor looks.
I am talking about the looks. Like I'm just saying, like
those are just examples of other variations we could see. Just because right now the armor, even though, like for instance, the Morningstar helmet, obviously that's very different from like the Orc V helmets. They're you can obviously tell them apart. That being said, the material used for it, ignoring the colorations of it, but the materials used for it, the general underlying structure of it, understanding, yes, it still has to fit a human skeleton. That's not what I'm getting at, but it still feels like it's being made by like the same group.
Oh, you're talking about like the material texture you're referring.
Well, I mean, not just that, but that's a component of it. But the way the armors are all I can understand what he's talking about here. All of the armors are very similar in terms of the angles of pieces, like shoulders, like you would say, shoulders are very rounded. The leg armors are all very same.
Let me try throwing this out here. Look at the shoulders, the shoulder armor on all the armors that we have. There's either nothing there or there's a small square with rounded edges, like cap, that goes directly over the end of your shoulder. But it's generally rounded and molded for your for the actual shoulder joint, right?
It looks like it's like a plastic mold injection kind of shit.
Yeah. My whole point is you could still be within the confines of what Data Machine's talking about, which is, the armor has to, properly adhere to the model through all the animations of range of motion. But why don't we have that small piece of plate that is showing on all the different models that we currently have? Why isn't there one that's like just slightly,
here's
not
an example.
perfectly shaped?
What about one that would look like it's a pad that gets put in under the armor, and it's like a Kevlar or like a ceramic plate insert kind of thing. So it's not something that's attached to the undersuit, but it's something in the undersuit itself.
I'm not even going that route. I'm just saying, like, why not have one version instead of all of them being slightly rounded and molded in shape? Why not have one that's just like a square brick? It might be ugly as hell to us, but to somebody else, they might think it looks awesome. And it's just sized right that it's still not interfering with any of that stuff. To me, that would just be a different avenue of choice and option. Whereas right now, like, essentially every single shoulder piece looks the same to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. I do agree.
They don't look the same to me, but that's probably because I'm probably paying a lot more attention to detail than a lot of other people are.
Well, I mean, they aren't exactly the same, but they're very
I mean, like, look at the
similar.
screenshot of Cam and I here, like, and you can tell. Okay, our shoulder pads here, the Cam and I are wearing are very similar, but they're not identical.
Right.
And,
That's what I'm talking about. They're all
But at the
similar.
same point, they are very similar. The only armor there's like a few of the heavy armors that don't fall into that, but pretty much all of the medium armors and most of the light armors that have shoulder pads do it. You know, all those shoulder pads are all looking like a plastic injection mold kind of shit, and they're all just kind of they're just kind of a rounded cap. There's no things where it's like, okay, it's like real close up against you instead of it being slightly out. You know, all of them are kind of like slightly raised off the shoulder a bit. There's nothing where it's like, hey, but besides the heavy armors, there's nothing where it's like, hey, we're gonna go and have a much wider pad, or have it to be like, instead of it being one piece, maybe there's like 3 individual pieces, or again, something like that. But they're all very much, it's a single piece, it's raised slightly off the shoulder, it looks like it's been plastic injection molded. There is a similarness to them, and it's like, if we want to have actual variety here, we need to go and have stuff that's completely different. So, like I was saying, maybe you have a shoulder that has like 3 pieces that are all, you know, they're all next to each other, but they're individual pieces, something like that.
Yeah.
Or
think
something
of it
where
as like what we have right now is Dark Ages, or not Dark Ages, but what we have is European knight armor for everybody. We have all different kinds of knight armor, but it's all European style. What I'm saying is, let's have somebody else who's working on the Japanese style and bringing that in, and then we got both of those variety.
Yes, we need a different underlying design template. Understand that we still have to fit the human structure, we still have to fit the constraints of those armors, but we need a completely different.
We are all ignoring one fact, though.
Yes.
We're all ignoring one fact, and that is all these armors, both in lore and, you know, for development purposes, they have to all abide by certain rules so that they can work with the, you know, fact that they're modular and with different armors and all that.
With that.
Yeah, but we still need to have a different underlying design differences.
I agree.
Those constraints. So, for example, like the Tavaran armor, the Aves armor, I think it was. Imagine if you had a shoulder piece on an armor. If instead of one big piece like that, you instead had, you know, let's say this is a mining armor, and let's say you just had kind of a webbed, a lightweight cage that's just designed to protect against bumps or scrapes as you're crawling around shit, or from rocks falling on you, but it's not really meant to take any kind of a damage. It's not really meant to like protect against bullets or shrapnel or stuff like that. You know, something like that would be kind of cool to see, where it's kind of, you know, you can see your suit underneath it, but it's still there. It's still absorbing some amount of damage, but it's meant to only take kinetic impacts from, you know, you slamming into something or something slamming into you, instead of shrapnel or bullets or lasers or anything like that.
Well, now you're getting into the armor archetype stuff that they talked about, where each armor is going to have various buffs and nerfs and all that. Like, okay, this armor is good against lasers, this one's good against ballistics, this one's going to have an in-between,
but just
stuff like
visually, we're not really seeing much of those differences. Now, they can, of course, say, hey, based on the stats we've given this armor's good at this armor's good at that, this armor does this other thing. They can do that, but visually, all of the armors that we've really been seeing so far are kind of fitting within a certain
style,
niche format, and we need to break out of that. And I think we can, while still maintaining that, yes, the armor needs to be modular. Yes, we need it to fit within a certain size dimensions. But I think even with maintaining those, we can go and have you can have some completely different design structures for how the armor is shaped, what kind of materials are being used, that kind of shit. And I hope we do get some of that here at some point.
Yeah, that's all I was trying to get at. Is
Yeah, I mean, like the
I'm
picture
not.
you just posted here, Mando. You know that armor there. That's a great example because if you look at those shoulders look completely different from what we've got from other armors. Those are more close in and
They're
tied to the rest of the arm.
cylindrical compared to the flat,
Yeah.
the flat plates that we have right now.
Yeah, the design of that armor is completely different from what we've already been seeing. Now, obviously, this is still concept art. We'd still have to wait to see it taken into a three-dimensional design there. But at least what this concept art is showing,
Another good
is showing
example
a
is
different design, underlying design layout than what we've already gotten. So.
Another good example of different shoulders is the Novikov and the Pembroke armor.
Yes,
that's different than what we have. Thing is, that's not modular armor though.
Ooh, exactly.
Mando, for a second. Here's what I'm trying to get at. There are differences. In general, there are differences, but they all look like they're American made. Let's see the Soviet style ballistics. That's all I'm getting
with
at.
The Gray Cat armor, and I did just drop a pick in there. Now I will say it still has the little hover shoulder shit, but at the same point, that design right there, that looks completely different. It's got cutouts. It's angular where most of them are smooth. That is.
I was to say, especially the center one right there.
But you can still have these variations, and it's all gonna still work. Going back to what I originally said, we can have European armor, and that all worked, and we can have the Japanese armor, and that all worked because it all was designed for the human body to function in combat. Like they designed it, but look how different it looks. So we should be able to do that in the game, which is have completely different styles, but it all still works under the modular system. That's I just want to see a different mindset included in the process, i.e., I'm perfectly okay with what Jay Lee and the American style set has been putting out, and I'm not faulting any of it. I'm not saying anything negative about it, but to me, I am starting to see a kind of a standardization of it, as in it all kind of generally looks the same, generally being the key big giant word there. And if we were to bring somebody in from outside, i.e., over in Europe studio, and have them just totally go you're not allowed to do anything that the American teams have done. Come up with your own system.
Just come up with something from scratch, fitting these constraints. So here's the constraints you have to work with, but outside of that, come up with something completely on your own.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're talking about.
That's what I like.
You keep saying Japanese armor designs. Like, for instance, a lot of Japanese armor designs just going to use. I mean, this is a robot design, not armor, but I'm going to use this as an example. But say Gundam, where they have the over-exaggerated knees. I would love to see that in an armor design with Star Citizen, stuff like that, and the and elbows as well, stuff. Whereas now, where
well,
accentuations. Yeah.
I would counter the over-exaggerated angle by saying that they're trying to make Star Citizen be fairly realistic in visuals, and it's very unrealistic for someone to wear an armor like that in space. It doesn't serve any purpose or function other than it looks stylish. But you're not wearing armor to be stylish. You're wearing the armor to protect you from damage or the environment or something like that.
I would counter that claim with go to the Green Hex. Go look at the armors that are on sale and tell me that those are functional.
True.
Well, my point here is that
I know. I'm with you.
There's a place for this, but it's not in armors. It's in civvy clothes or things you would wear just around town or whatever. Those can look however you want because that's an expression of your style.
True, but look at the differences between U.S. Army uniforms, full battle rattle, and Russian battle rattle.
Yeah.
Very, very different, but yet they both accomplish the same thing, and both groups consider theirs to be more functional than the other ones. Otherwise, we'd all be wearing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Also,
that's
B, in the chat, B says, couldn't see it. What couldn't you see, B? I don't know. He just says couldn't see it.
Probably what we're talking about.
Alright, well, I can't fix that. That's fine on my end.
Just fix it.
Just, gosh. Is it fixed already?
Yeah, jeez.
I need to download more RAM. Hold on.
Yeah.
More GPU? Go get a bucket of prop
I hear
wash.
you can download 3090s all over the place now.
You just need to
Hold on, let me get some RTX for my GTX 970 card. It'll be fine.
You just need to send 1995 to this Nigerian prince.
Is that all?
That's all.
Oh, fuck.
One time.
I'm going to get right on that.
Anyways, I think we've completely killed and beaten and buried that horse. Sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize for taking.
No, I totally get what you're saying. I do agree with Data in that, yeah, they're designed for functionality over looks, but I think that there can be more. I think they can have more distinctive variety within that the functionality of the looks there. Just maybe they don't need to have it be worse. Yeah, the over exaggerate like the Gundam design, but they don't.
Yeah, I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that they should go into like these crazy.
I think they need to go back to. I think when they're designing it, like say, it depends on what the armor is.
Because I don't want to see Megazords running around.
Right.
Too late.
I don't either.
I do want to see
5 Titan suits will combine together.
It'll be a combiner roll. You had Devastator.
With your powers combined, I am Captain Planet.
I guess a really quick and easy way to say it is, to me, it feels like what we're seeing coming out from Jay Lee, and again, this isn't a negative against him. It's just, I feel like what we're seeing is we're seeing the U.S. Army, the U.S. Marine Corps, the U.S. Navy, and the U.S. Air Force versions of their body armor sets. And what I'd like to see is, okay, now show us the French, the Germans, the Japanese, the Koreans, and the Russian versions of body armors.
Yeah,
that's all I'm getting
absolutely.
Yeah, because I have the I have the armor archetype, the pillars of the armor, which is they have 4 different pillars of armor, and then within each pillar you have light, medium, and heavy. And the 4 pillars are combat fighter, combat specialist, utilitarian adventurer, and utilitarian support. And utilitarian adventurer would be stuff like the RSI Venture armor and the Novikov armor. Utilitarian support is more like the RSI MacFlex armor. I see other armors here, but they're concept art, and I don't know.
Question. I saw a Minion Soldier episode last week where he was kind of talking about some of the armor stuff. And he actually had a pretty good idea, which was, why don't we move the hot and cold environment aspect suits into our undersuits? Because, and this was the thinking, was ships eventually are going to have a limited capacity for what they can carry. And it's going to be really hard for you to carry around your Novikov and your Pembroke plus, your medium and your heavy set of armor. That's, you're already carrying around 4 sets of armor.
Just for you.
That's just for you, excluding anybody else getting on your ship. Whereas if you were to at least take the environmental protection stuff and move that into an undersuit, then that cuts down on a lot
Which is interesting because
now, remember, not saying that there might not be
when you're changing your armor,
very specific environments that might require a very, very specialized system, i.e., like maybe you're going onto a water world and you're going to go underwater and you need a special barometric, rating. That might be a specialization. But in general, if you're going on Hoth or you're going to Tatooine, you should be able your undersuit should be able to handle that range of hot and cold. That was
well, when you change into your Novikov, it's under undersuit, not armor. So
at minimum, though, I would love to see if they don't do that. I would like to see that armor itself should take up a very, very small amount of SCU space if you're like packing into a box. Like, hey, here's my one SCU of gear, and in there I can have
packing it away. It's not hanging.
I've got Novikov, I've got Pembroke, I've got my medium armor, I've got my 3 other armor sets on top of those, all in one SCU. Sure, okay. I would buy that, especially if I could have like
a little while to break it out.
Yeah, it would take me a while to go and pull it all out and put it all on and shit. Sure, I would be fine with that as a trade-off. But
okay, yeah, I could see that might be a route to go if they don't want to do that. But to me, it kind of made sense what he was saying, because you think about like our astronauts nowadays, they wear a hot cold cooling system as an undersuit. Yeah. It's got water, tubes of water running around.
It would make sense.
Yeah. It started me thinking about like a lot of the stuff that's going to come along, storage wise. And this is Minion Soldier putting this stuff out. Now it's kind of like, yeah, he's actually got a really good point on this. People are going to really have to rethink what ships they're flying and what missions they're going to be able to go and do, just based off of what they can actually carry in their ship. I.e., maybe the Aurora will once again reign supreme when you can throw a bunch of stuff on the bed and go fly around and then pull things out that you need, versus like the Gladius that can fit, an automatic rifle and a lunchbox.
Yeah.
Anywho, sorry. Shut up. Go ahead, Mando.
On what?
I think we're ready to move to the next topic.
Yeah. All right. Any other Star Citizen stuff that I missed? Or?
Yeah. So they just introduced the new shovel here, and if you look at the design, no, I'm kidding.
Is it a flat head or a spade head?
Does it fold up?
It's a snow shovel.
Actually, it's probably called an entrenching tool.
Okay, but how many whaps does it take until I kill Vandal with it?
Let's find out. Are you
Speaking of Vandal, I want to see that energy glance at some point.
I think your nearest player should be a good model of a Vandal.
Yeah, potato. I'm about to hopefully check out a tank here, because I've seen a lot of the Hercules, but I haven't been able to see shit of a tank yet, besides one that was shooting at me earlier.
Are you?
How big? Those are size 4 guns, right? Tank has
quick
size 4.
Question about the tank. What size is it? Is it larger than the Ursa by a lot? Or...
It's larger than the Ursa.
Yeah.
So the only thing that you can transport it in right now is the C2.
Yes.
Okay.
And the 890 apparently.
Right, because remember the ballista is also larger than the Ursa, and you can fit a ballista in there.
Yeah, but that was what everyone was talking about way back when, was like, when are we getting the tank? And everyone was going, what's the point in asking? Because the only thing that it can fit into is a C2 or above. So don't ask for the tank until we got the C2.
Guys, look at this. Here's some of the components.
I can't see what you're doing. So.
Yeah, I can't either.
No, I'm posting pictures.
Oh, okay.
See. What do you take me for?
A fool, but that's not the point.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and there's little coverings. So here I've flipped them all around.
Give me more, Cam. Give me more.
Oh shit, we're moving. It's got 4 rifle racks on it.
It's a size 4 gun, right? Main turret.
Yes, but it's a modified size 4. It's
right, that much I know. I'm just saying it's a size 4, though.
That's the same that's on a Hammerhead turret, correct?
And a watch face turret.
Size-wise, yes. However, oh, that's cool.
But this is a railgun on the tank versus a laser repeater that's on the Hammerhead turret.
I don't know.
I can't
What's so funny?
Ooh, there's another tank here.
Tank Wars.
What kind of pad do you need to spawn it?
You would need. I mean, I think standard vehicle pads would do it.
Will they?
Yeah, well, Data, remember the ballistas in game.
Board Gamer did it at the vehicle spawn point at New Babbage, so I think it's any vehicle spawn point.
Yeah, it has to be the same as like the ballista. So, also that is beautiful.
I like this. I definitely want to get one in game at some point. Too rich for buying with real cash, but in game, fuck.
I like how
it'd be cheaper in game.
I like how the C2 looks all gray from that angle. I'm not so much a fan of that all white from the above view of the C2. Just too much white.
It's nice.
Oops.
Alright, do you guys want to move on from Star Citizen?
Is there anything beyond Star Citizen? I wasn't aware of that.
Can there be? Yeah.
Supposedly there's this other world.
What?
It's called
That's
reality.
heresy. Burn him at the stake.
Do we have stakes?
Which?
Medium well?
Alright, so moving on, we have
I say we leave it up to Data.
That's a bad idea.
Might be a bad plan because I'm planning to head out of here in about 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to. Yeah, I'm about the same. I gotta call it at about.
Ooh, you can control the tank from the drive. You can control the turret from the driver's seat of the tank. That's pretty cool.
So, as in, like, you can just slave it to wherever you're looking as you're driving, or
no,
you got to stop and then.
So you actually have to enter remote turret, and then from there you have to control it. So you cannot battlefield it and both fire and drive at the same time.
Oh man!
You can drift. You can drift the tank.
Yep.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love this thing. This is awesome.
So I'm assuming that C2 that we're seeing in the image ahead of us is actually the M2 version.
I have no idea. It might be a C2 or it might be an M2. I know they're both in. It's the A2 that's not in yet.
Yeah. I think the C2 is all white, though, because that's mainly what I've been seeing in the videos. So the version that I'm seeing in your pictures is much more gray. So that's what's making me think it's the M2. But don't know. Oh, God. Something appeared on the screen.
Yes, the next topic. Be afraid. Very afraid. Actually, no. So, moving on from Star Citizen to just regular gaming news, the FTC is looking into Epic's handling of children's personal information. Finally.
Why are they only looking into children's? Why don't they look into...
I know. So, especially considering how Epic... So, just for anyone who doesn't know, in the past, I think it was... I want to say 2018, or it might have been 2019. Epic Game Store was apparently gathering personal data and information from its users and then selling it to a third-party company in China. But that was kind of swept under the bed. You know, no one really pursued it, but that did happen. And now we're finally getting it invested. So this is all because of the Apple versus Google thing that's been going on for a while now, the trial finally started in I think this past week. So now we're getting all this new information, and now Epic's Epic's head of business and strategy for online services, Thomas Koh, was asked about security for customer information, and Apple's lawyer, and when he was asked about it, he said that he didn't recall anything concerning any problems with it. And then Apple's lawyer followed up with, "You don't recall if you've heard about that or not?" And he just kind of gives I was part of the team, but that was it, that kind of thing. Essentially a non-answer.
I collected a paycheck, but I don't accept any responsibility whatsoever.
Hell yeah, bitch.
Oh.
So, but here, the question was, when asked if Epic ever had any issues with improperly collecting or using information about customers under the age of 13, Koh said he didn't recall. Then he was followed up with, "You don't recall if you've heard about that or not?" And then he said, "I was part of the attorney's privileged team that are handling requests from the FTC, but that was it." And after, the lawyer then told the judge that he wanted to further question him, but not in a public hearing, in a sealed session, not open to the public. An Epic representative declined to comment to GamesIndustry.biz, referring us instead to Koh's testimony, which I just read, which is not an answer. The FTC is responsible for anyone who doesn't know, the FTC is responsible for the enforcement of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which is COPPA, a law that requires those who run online services to obtain parental consent before collecting children's personal information and to limit the scope of information they collect as much as possible, among other things. A number of gaming and technology companies have settled FTC COPPA charges in the past decade, including Miniclip, Hyperbeard, TikTok, RockU, and TinyCo. In 2019, Google agreed to pay a $170 million civil penalty to settle allegations of COPPA violations by YouTube, which does not surprise me, and which is why you now have to say your video is not for children every time you upload something.
Miniclip, now there's a name I haven't heard in years.
So I got a question.
What?
How do you guys think that all these home microphone systems where you ask Siri or Google or
they're totally recording your
Alexa
stuff. Yeah.
What do they do when your kids are talking? Does it automatically edit out anything they say?
No, I doubt it.
So how come they're not being investigated?
They should be.
I'm not saying that this isn't a good thing. I'm just asking, why is it we're only hearing about this one company? I
also don't like, why are they asking only asking about issues and properly collecting information regarding underage kids and not just collecting information in general, period. Regardless of age. Why does it matter about the age?
Yep.
They shouldn't be collecting information from anyone, period. That's it.
Well,
end of story.
I think the distinction here is that in the terms of service of the device, generally, because of some of the lawsuits that have happened before, it'll say that it's recording and that by using the device you accept the terms of service. Most people probably don't read it, but it's probably there, so they could fall back on that.
Well, I don't use any Epic stuff, so thank you.
But there comes a point where they got to have something in place for what children are saying and doing should not be recorded and used.
There needs to be safety stuff to protect the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And moving on, further onto this topic, because we've been very adamant about how we don't like Tencent and Epic on this channel before because of reasons, mainly China's involvement, and now China's Tencent is in talks with the U.S. to keep gaming investments regarding because for anyone who doesn't know, Tencent owns 40% of Epic Games, and they pretty much own the entirety of Riot Games, which makes Fortnite and League of Legends, respectively. So now they're in talks with the Committee of Foreign Investment in the United States. I know I can't speak today. To see if they can even keep their holdings, because it might because their ownership of these companies might be a national security risk. So I'm hoping they don't get to keep it. But
speaking of something that we discussed last week, and I just clicked on, what about Sony and Discord?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that for last, but yeah, we can move on quickly to that. No, we can move on quickly to that. That was Sony. So Discord ended their talks with Microsoft last week, but this week they announced partnership with Sony.
Yeah.
No.
I assume it's just gonna be like now Discord's gonna be on Sony consoles, like it's gonna be integrated into the PS5 and all that. But you never know what a partnership like that could mean. I'm just assuming, and you know what happens when you assume, so...
I personally just don't want Discord working with... How do I put this correctly? I don't want to see Discord opening up to to another company and allowing that company to come
influence
into Discord
them.
And influence. Yeah, exactly.
Agreed. I that's why I like Discord. Well, I should say liked Discord at this point, I guess, right? Because they were impartial. They were separate. It was a third-party communication software.
They're standalone without a bunch of spam, which is good.
Yeah. Again, we haven't seen any changes yet, so we'll see in the coming months what that partnership with Sony will mean. But I can put the where do I have the link? Because here it is. But yeah, here's the official announcement announcing PlayStation's new partnership with Discord. So Sony and PlayStation.
I was just gonna make a comment about what we're seeing, the ads we're seeing on your webpage. Are you planning a cruise?
No.
Because the way they say ads are targeted nowadays.
I'm not signed in on this browser.
I mean, if ads are targeted, that means we need to ask you if you're planning a cruise.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm watching the video from Mando's desktop.
Oh, yeah, what he's saying, right? Okay.
Nice try.
Yeah.
But here's the article about it. But PlayStation, blah 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 blah. I'm just trying to see if they're actually talking about what they'll be doing, if any changes.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, they're going to do some changes. It just, are they actually going to give us a heads up about them, or are they just going to be on the fly? Right. It looks like they're just talking about, as I just said, where they're probably going to just integrate Discord into the consoles. I'm not seeing anything other than just PR speak. Look, we joined and we're so happy to be together now, and
we are beyond excited. Yeah, it's a bunch of PR speak.
But back to Tencent being investigated by the CFIUS. So yeah, they're going to be investigated by to see if their stakes in Riot and Epic Games should be allowed, because whether or not they're being investigated, whether or not they constitute a national security risk, which
probably.
I mean, look, given how many Chinese corporations have either stakes or completely control American entertainment and technology industries, I could not, I'd say just, get rid of them.
Here's a major problem that a lot of people don't think about. China is, it's basically run by the party system, which is, they've got direction from the top going down.
The CCP.
The U.S., here's the problem that our military has. We're an open source system in the sense that there's not one specific manufacturer of military hardware that our military can
You
go
literally
to
have contractors competing with each other for who gets to make stuff for the military.
Right. And so, and because of the way that the U.S. runs, that means that you've got, Microsoft Windows, and you've got, Apple, and you've got these varieties. But what it doesn't allow us to do is to lock down how somebody makes something, and then who owns that company, and then them providing that product to our military. And until we do that, we're susceptible to whatever happens. So you're gonna see this constantly happening until the U.S. makes a decision, like, we're gonna build our own in-house, chips for our own processors for our own military only.
Well, and that's another thing too.
Dollars.
A lot of our stuff is made overseas.
The issue here is that if the Chinese government has access to Tencent or any other,
they don't have access. Tencent is a Chinese company. They already have access to Tencent. It's how much access does Tencent have?
I'm not going to say that the government owns every company in China. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. So I'm not going to say that. But if they do and they have access to that company, then that means they have access to all the game data and of all the people who play that game. And that is, I mean, the amount of data there is massive. The stuff that they could extrapolate to other areas.
Which brings us back to the FTC looking into Epic's handling of the whole children's personal information thing, because Epic is 40% owned by Tencent, which is a Chinese company.
I would be worried if any government had full access to that kind of information, the U.S. government included.
But here, Tencent Holdings Limited is negotiating agreements with the U.S. National Security Panel about its ownership stakes in video game developers, Riot Games, and Epic. Tencent has been in talks with the. Where is the? Is actually. I'm trying to look for the paragraph that they talked about. What Tencent?
But
Tencent is a no. That's not it.
Like this is just one of hundreds of instances that this is going to keep happening until we come up with a national standard of what we will and won't allow, and how we're going to protect ourselves from it.
Here, Tencent's vast businesses include video games, content streaming, social media, advertising, and cloud services. China has in recent months sought to curb the economic and social power of Tencent and other internet companies such as Alibaba Group Holding Limited, and in a clampdown backed by President Xi Jinping, Reuters reported last week that Beijing was preparing a substantial antitrust fine for Tencent. Read more here. The article.
Yeah, Alibaba got whacked pretty good a couple weeks ago, and they're paying a butt ton of money to their government.
And that's another reason why all these Chinese companies have so much influence over American companies because of the money. China has a lot of it. Well, that's what happens when you oppress your people and take all their stuff. And then oppress other people that aren't yours.
It's something that we as a society need to come up with a plan, because right now we're so open source that there is no plan.
What's the plan? Get a better plan.
Hope is not a strategy. Tencent, look, I just have a problem with all these, with just China overall having an influence on American culture, because let's be honest, it's not like they're equal, on par, like a democracy and all that, with equal values to America. And this article even brings it up, like all the stuff that's going on with political issues in China, Hong and Taiwan, and the whole persecution against the Uyghurs, I don't remember, whatever, the Muslim Uyghurs. Concentration camps in China. I can never pronounce it.
How are American Indians doing? I'm just saying we're not. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying we're not exactly the white hats either. Let's not forget the things that we've done, and we're pointing our fingers at a lot of people, but there's a lot of things that we've done to our own.
Are we still doing it though?
Yeah, it's like we're not still doing it currently. We're not still going and exterminating people, torturing them, raping them as part of official government policy here.
Plus the fact that's not what I was getting at. I was getting at more of a... Remember the whole thing with Never Again after World War II with the Jewish concentration camps by the Nazis? Yeah, how is this any different? Exactly.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Okay. I'm not... like I said, I'm not denying anything that they're doing. I'm just saying... You're
right. Yeah, we're not exactly on higher morals.
I don't think anyone's saying like we are completely spotless and our hands are completely clean. At the same point, we are no longer doing anything like this as part of official government policy. While they are and going, hey, you should not be doing this. We have at least learned from our mistakes. You need to stop this. And I'm going, this doesn't happen at all. It's like,
Well, look at their what was it? Their latest Long March rocket that drops its booster stages on populated areas.
Yeah, really.
Did those already actually fall to the ground yet, or are we still waiting?
No, they're still coming down right now.
But their past launches, they've dropped them on villages and exploded. Like there's video footage of villagers standing in the village looking up, watching the booster fall down and explode on the hillside next to them.
Yikes.
Yeah, and I don't mean like explode as in like, oh, nice fireworks. I'm talking like, oh, fuck, a giant rocket just exploded on the hillside.
Like there's going to be casualties, without a doubt.
Yeah. Go check it out for yourselves. Do your own research. But yeah, they've... and supposedly they like the technology's been around for years. It's just that they're using old boosters because they're cheaper. What's a village versus the money we save?
Right.
Exactly.
But anywho, sorry.
No, and but yeah, the whole thing, and obviously for anyone that's curious as to the whole thing going on with Epic versus Apple, we've covered that a billion times already. Pretty much, it's Epic got into a tizzy fit after Apple kicked them off their Apple and Google kicked them off their platforms for circumventing platforms' commission fees for operating on their platforms, and therefore violating their terms of service contracts with Apple and Google. And then Epic's like, no, that's not fair. You can't do that, even though we did something wrong. And now they're suing them both, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, I was going to ask that earlier. Like, what
so pretty much for Fortnite
on new for that case, but it makes sense. Like that's
Apple's the whole thing for Fortnite. It's like, okay, they can have the in-game macro transactions, right? So they when you're doing it on the phone,
whole case.
When you're doing it on the phone, Apple takes 30% and Google takes 30% of it because it's on the phone. They made a way to circumvent that, so Epic gets all the money, but it's still on Apple's on iPhone. So Apple retaliated by kicking Fortnite off the App Store, and Google did the same thing with their platform. And Epic's now suing them with antitrust lawsuits, claiming that they're being anti-competitive.
But basically, the whole reason any of this got brought up was this is Apple's way of basically undercutting Epic and going, oh, you're pointing the finger at us? Well, hey, what about the children that you're screwing over? Bye.
It's pretty much like here you have two multi-billion-dollar corporations that neither of which have really clean records in high morale, or high moral values, I should say, are now pointing fingers at each other for what they're doing wrong. Yeah, pretty much. We're going to see a lot of dirty...
Apple's got a better record of protecting personal information.
Who does?
They might be charging money for it, but at least they're protecting
it
better
Apple?
than what I see.
Than
what I see other companies, just like Google, just stealing your personal information and not even,
Look, I don't like any of these companies, but I mean, I'm not gonna say, oh well, they're all equally. Like, no, there's some. they're just one doing something better than the other, but they're all still pretty bad.
Yep. I put it down like this: when it's time to buy a new phone, which phone do you feel safer buying? For protecting your personal information. Do you want to go with a Windows-based phone, an Apple-based phone, or a Google-based phone? And this is just my personal opinion.
Or go with a burner phone.
Or a burner, yeah, or a burner phone. If it's a phone I'm gonna put my credit card information into and make sales transaction, then I'm probably gonna go with an Apple. But that's purely my own personal choice, just based on how the protections of my personal information, not based on operating system or anything like that.
Right. Based on the security that they provide over Google and Windows.
Yep.
Next up on the Epic legal fiascos. So going on the whole thing with Epic versus Apple, this is more fuel to the fire type thing, because this just shows how ridiculous this whole thing is, in that Tim Sweeney, who's the CEO of Epic, says he's unsure how an Epic win would impact non-gaming apps. So essentially, they didn't think that far ahead. They just impulsively antitrust lawsuited Apple and Google for taking their multi-billion-dollar raking in
I'm
Fortnite
gonna throw
app.
a bullshit flag out there. You don't enter into legal courtroom processes without thinking all those angles through. That's what lawyers are paid to do. Like that's complete BS. They got a plan, and it's either we think we can cover that loss, or we really think we're going to win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I think they're suing them just because they want total. They claim they're doing it for the competitiveness and fairness of the market and all that BS. But I think they're just doing it so they can have full control of the market.
I mean, their company. They want
exactly. They want all the money and the control, and therefore they can control how much money.
If there's 0.01 cent that they can get extra, they'll take it. It's a company.
I mean, the reason they're fighting so hard here is because the amount of money that any company collects through that transactions and the store and stuff. I mean, it's billions of dollars.
Yeah,
it's worth it for them to take.
Well, sorry, not Apple. Epic makes $2 billion something from Fortnite, like in microtransactions. I think in just the last year alone, something like that alone. Or no, sorry, they made $2 billion from Apple's Fortnite on Apple alone. Something like that. Something along those lines. Like, they make billions of dollars from this thing. Of course they're going to fight to get it back.
If you add an extra 30% on top that Apple gets, I mean...
I think that's with the 30%.
That's a nice little chunk of change there.
Yeah. I think that's with the 30%. If they take away the 30%, then they're making more.
One of the whole reasons why they broke up all the telecoms, way back when, was they found out that the telecoms were charging people an extra couple cents every payment, with the mentality of, those who notice and complain about it, will give it back, but think of how many people aren't going to notice 1 or 2 cents.
Yeah.
And it's worked out to be millions per year that they were getting extra, knowingly mischarging people. So, I mean, it's not like it's unheard of and hasn't been done before.
Yeah, okay, so this is the article here. Fortnite made $9 billion in 2 years.
Oh, yeah. That's worth courtroom.
Fortnite. That's not Epic Games' only thing. That's just from Fortnite alone. That's
what is it? What's the game engine for Star Citizen?
CryEngine.
CryEngine.
Yeah, CryEngine and CIG went.
Crytek and CIG. Yeah, they've been going at it. Well, they finished finally, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that was for
For
less
5,
than
6
$1
years,
they're
yeah.
willing to go into it.
They're doing it for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, here they have Epic Games Epic Games' hit Fortnite made $9 billion in 2 years. Court documents from the Epic versus Apple trial reveal. I wonder how much money they make exclusively from from Apple with Fortnite on the Apple platform. That's a number I would like to see.
As in, how much does Apple make?
Like, how much money has Epic made from Fortnite on Apple platforms? Like, for people that play Fortnite on, your iPads and iPhones, how much money does Epic make from that? Because obviously it's not going to be, $2 billion, but it might be a significant sum of money, or it might be insignificant to the point where why are they going to court about this?
Well, if they're going to court over it, it's clearly a significant.
I was about to say that's why I want to see the numbers.
I got to roll out of here, guys. I will see you later.
See ya.
Night all.
See ya.
And Epic versus Apple made their opening statements in a U.S. District Court case yesterday, with the Fortnite developer questioning the motivations behind Apple's App Store policies, while the iPhone maker said Epic's victory would hurt customers. Oh, yikes, and here's the actual statement. I'll let viewers read it on their own. That is. According to Apple Counsel, take away this security particular to the iPhone and the bad actors are going to have a field day, which is why Android security statistics are so much worse. Whereas Epic Counsel saying Epic wants to reach customers lost inside Apple's walled garden. Meanwhile, Facebook's censorship is going so bad. Seriously, what is it with all this big tech trying to control the world's type? Between this, and then we have censorship with all the social media platforms. Not a nice world we live in. And also, we got Epic push for subscription-free multiplayer on Xbox ahead of Apple battle. So pretty much, this is just showcasing how much pull Epic and Tencent have in the gaming industry. I know after last week's show data, we were talking about Amazon's Lord of the Rings MMO they were working on. How Tencent actually got that canceled because they purchased the developer that was making the game in conjunction with Apple's own team while they're working on the game, and Tencent and Amazon had a fight about it and they got it canceled. So very powerful corporation here. But with the whole thing here with the U.S. committee investigating Tencent, personally, I don't like having a lot of Chinese companies in Chinese ownership of U.S. technology and entertainment, because let's be honest, it's not like, as we said, the CCP isn't exactly glowing, inspirational role model for what we should be. So.
It's not really Chinese ownership. It's Chinese government ownership.
True. And yeah, here, even in this article, they go into how the U.S. committee has been cracking down on Chinese ownership of U.S. technology assets in the last few years amid an escalation in tensions between Washington and Beijing over trade, human rights, and the protection of intellectual properties. U.S. officials have expressed concerns that the personal data of U.S. citizens could end up in the hands of China's Communist Party government. And that's kind of the fear, because all these companies are having access to your personal data. Who's to say they aren't collecting it? And let's be honest, they are collecting it. I think the FTC should be looking into Tencent and Epic as a whole, not just their, the underage data they're collecting, but all the data they're collecting. That's going to be a big can of worms when they do that. What's this? CEO Tim Sweeney told Xbox boss Phil Spencer that certain plans for August would create an extraordinary opportunity. Epic has certain plans for August that will provide an extraordinary opportunity to highlight the value proposition of consoles and PCs in contrast to mobile platforms and to onboard new console users. While I can't share details with any third party at this point, I give you Epic's assurance that our efforts will be positive and supportive of Microsoft, Xbox, and I don't even know what the effort is. Subscription-free multiplayer. Oh, so they're making Xbox Live free, which I think it's already free in terms of playing online. So.
I blew up a tank.
Nice.
Also found with the Nova tank, you can at least for currently, not to jump back into Star Citizen here.
Oh, please, by all means.
With the Nova tank, you can gimbal mode the main gun while you're in the driver's seat and aim and fire it. Now you can only do so when you're in first person, not third, obviously. But that still lets you as the driver both drive and gun at the same time in a limited field of fire in front of you. Also the secondary gunner, so the person who controls the small turret on top of the main turret, you can go and similarly gimbal the turret and then control it from the seat, although given you don't have anything else to do in that seat, don't know why you'd want to do that, but it's an option.
Alright. There is a dedicated gunner seat though, isn't there?
So there's 3 seats. You have the front left seat is the driver. The front right seat is the secondary turret gunner. And then the back right seat is the dedicated turret gunner for the main turret. So if you have 3 people, if you've got 3 people, then you got 1 driver, 1 secondary gunner, 1 main gunner. If you just have 1 person, you can both drive and gun, like I said, in a limited field of fire in front of you. So definitely cool. It also has I think it has 3 power plants, size 1 power plants, 3 size 1 shields, and 3 size 1 coolers.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely some cool shit.
Yeah, I can't wait until the 3.13.1 goes into the PU, so this way I can. I'm not doing the P2, not right now.
Yeah, no, it's been, especially this morning, like literally 5 minutes and fucking crash. It was bad.
Alright.
But I definitely want us to get a Herc and some tanks to play with once those go into the in-game store. But it's probably going to be expensive as shit. Tank's probably going to be like, I would say it's like the tank would probably be like 2 mil, maybe 3 mil.
You think?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
the
betting it's
ballista is
not
only
gonna be cheap.
like 300,000 to 600,000.
Really?
Yeah, it might just be like 1 mil then. Yeah, I mean,
I'd say,
we
yeah,
are
I
talking
can't see it going
another
maybe, I'd
scale
say
up from
1.4.
yeah, that sounds fair. And then the
Right?
perk, I would probably say, how much is the caterpillar? Like 3.4 mil or something.
Yeah, something like that.
So I'd probably say then the Herc is probably going to be like 5 mil, 6 mil, somewhere around there.
Alright, so let's gonna move on. One more topic regarding Epic, and then we can move on to comic book stuff. You guys, and then we can end the
After we're
stream.
done with this last thing here, I'm probably gonna head out.
Yeah, or this can just be the last one. Cause honestly, the comic book stuff is just the whole like it's just more of the Black Superman stuff, or race swapping Superman. But let's see. So we got Epic acquires ArtStation. So I want to talk about this last week, but we didn't. And pretty much, for anyone who doesn't know, ArtStation is it's a platform for artists to kind of just post their stuff, and you can also, I think there's like an engine there you can use to make like modeling stuff, like 3D modeling and all that. I personally haven't used it, but apparently Epic has now bought ArtStation. Now they are joining forces. ArtStation and Unreal Engine teams will be able to empower according to Epic, they said, by joining forces, the ArtStation and Unreal Engine teams will be able to empower the creative community with expanded tools, resources, and connections. They have also said that ArtStation will be, you can use ArtStation as you have previously. However, the second they bought it, they already made 2 changes to the site. One was changing the holder fee on ArtStation Marketplace from a 30% cut of sales to 12%. And the second change was...
That's better, isn't it?
And the second change was ArtStation Learning streaming video service being free for ArtStation subscribers for the remainder of the year. And ArtStation is just the latest in a series of acquisitions by Epic Games. Since the beginning of 2019, Epic has acquired 3 lateral AGOG Labs, Psionics, Twin Motion, House Party, Quixel, Cubic Motion, Hypersense, Super Awesome, Rad Tools, Tonic Games Group, Capturing Reality, and a North Carolina shopping mall to serve as its new headquarters. And that's just the art stuff. They've been acquiring game studios too, like they're freaking candy. So, I mean, look, I'll be honest, with Epic Games' tendency of actually collecting your information and then selling it to third-party companies in China, from what we know, and now they're being investigated for such types of activities, I wouldn't trust ArtStation.
No, absolutely not.
Which is a shame, because that was one of the good ones. You know, that was like, I've seen some pretty cool stuff on ArtStation. Like, I haven't used it myself, but I have seen, like, I have gone on ArtStation to see some cool artwork and stuff like that. And now I'm not even. That sucks, but unfortunately, all I can do is just inform others about it. I can't do anything about it myself.
I think it's fair to say that they only have access to the data that you give them.
Well, yes and no.
No,
by that,
necessarily.
Epic Launcher, when you install the Epic Launcher, that thing collects all kinds of data that you're not. Now, you might say, hey, by downloading it, you are giving them access to your computer and everything on it.
That was the whole thing. Was Epic Game Store was collecting user data, even Steam data if you had it, and personal information, credit card information, all this stuff, and selling it to a third-party company in China. And that was the whole that was the whole thing back in I can't remember if it was 18 or 19, but back in 2018 or 19, that was the problem. And obviously they denied it, of course, and that's why I'm glad to see the FTC is looking into them, but I want to see them look into them more.
with that story, were those proven facts that they were found guilty of, or is that just what people were saying?
I mean, it never went to like a court case or anything like that. That being said, I believe there was comprehensive proof of, hi, we are people who develop programs, and when we rip this apart, here is what it's actually doing on your computers. So in terms of is it actually doing that, I believe it was yes.
It was 2018.
Dang.
It was
Someone said
2018.
2 tanks, 1 Ursa, and 3 Cyclones. And a C2.
And it was found, but of course they denied it. And I don't think it was ever. Found out who the seller, or rather the buyer that they were selling it to in China was. Some say it's the Chinese government itself. Others say it was a Chinese corporation. If anyone watching, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, knows more about this, please tell us in the comment section.
I have some good news.
Please tell us. I need.
As of a couple minutes ago, I'm now 30 years old. I am now decrepit. Woohoo!
Yay! You're close to dead. I'm kidding.
Surprised I made it this far, but woohoo!
Yeah.
Here's another 30.
We're gonna do something special for you today.
Yeah, as soon as the tape comes out, we'll let you take it to the face. See what happens.
So hey, once I hit 60, Star Citizen will be out. We hope.
It'll be 80 by the time it comes out.
Hey,
So,
I'm sure my kids will enjoy their inheritance. If I ever have kids.
I think I'm gonna head out, guys.
All right.
That's it.
Take it easy.
I'm probably getting closer to anything we want to wrap up here.
Yeah, you want to let's just wrap it up, because honestly, I think the last topic I had written down, although I didn't put it in the Discord, was just because I couldn't find the source. But here's the source. Never mind. But it's pretty much the whole thing with we've covered the story before, but it's the whole Warner Brothers trying to look for a black Superman. They're doing the whole race swap Superman thing, which honestly, it's not new news. And my problem with it is, why are you race swapping? What's your why? Because here's the thing: no one seems to have a real problem. Like, when I say no one, like, they don't seem to have a problem race swapping white characters, because they do it all the time. But if you were to at least even tell someone, like, hey, what if you race swapped a black character? You're all of a sudden immediately called a racist just for thinking that. Like, just the idea of race swapping a black character is evil, but it's okay to do it to white characters.
Race swapping in general, it's literally just saying, hey, we could not go and be bothered to actually make a character with a interesting, comprehensive story or reason for existing. So all we're going to do is we're going to take an existing character and change this one aspect about it. Essentially, we're just going to go and take a character that's already established, change some random shit about it, and completely fuck up their actual story, or at least the main points of their story, and then wonder why no one likes this new character. And then we're going to go, and when people don't like this character because we have no idea what we're doing, by the very nature of race swapping, that's showing you as a writer have failed.
Yeah.
You have failed to go and design anything new. You're just thinking, well, hey, here's something from a couple years ago. We're just going to go and change this one thing, throw the name of the original character on there so that people will actually come to it. And if anyone dares to go and say, hey, we suck at writing, because we do, we've already defined that, we're just going to go and hide behind name calling. Oh, you must be racist, or like with the Ghostbusters movie. Hey, we took.
Oh yeah, you were sexy because they gender swapped.
The main cast all female. Ah, isn't it great now?
Yeah.
Well, when you showed that you had again absolutely no idea what you were doing, you utterly sucked at writing, and people didn't like it. And what do? oh, you're all sexist, or you suck balls at writing, or at least writing the characters you were trying
It's also
to do.
it's racist because it's not. It's racist of them to do it, especially when it's like, because here's the thing: the reasoning you're doing it is you're not doing it for anything better than, oh, we need diversity, or essentially you're doing it because you need a black person on screen. That is racist.
Yeah, you are using their skin color
as a marketing tool.
Yeah. No,
And also,
absolutely.
it's also disrespectful to the original creators. Just think of
Absolutely.
it. Let me put it this way: being an artist myself, if I were to create something, like say I created a character, I put a lot of work and effort into this, and then they make a movie. Obviously,
it's well known.
Like, imagine if Jack Kirby and Stan Lee were still alive today, and they decide, they saw, was it 2015, and they race swapped Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
Exactly. How, I don't think they would have liked that.
And it's like, if you want to go and it's like, hey, we want a black superhero, cool.
First off,
write one,
or use the existing ones that you have that are actually good.
For example, here's a great one: Static Shock.
Static Shock, War Machine, Falcon. At least
I read, or not read, but I watched the Static Shock cartoon. I love that.
Oh, I grew up watching that shit. Yeah,
a pretty good way of showing, hey, here is not just a guy, a black guy in America as we see in he's DC, right? I think, yeah, DC.
It was DC, yes. They had all the Justice League crossovers. It was part of that animated universe.
Not just a black kid growing up, and I think his family was like a little bit like lower middle class in terms of like.
Was his dad a cop? I can't remember. His dad was a cop, wasn't he?
I know his mom was like an EMT, and she had died in like the original situation. There was like some kind of like a gas being sort of like a dock or something, and
that situation that gave him his powers. Yeah,
got his powers because of that. And then I remember later on too, he like goes back in time and he tries to save her, and Superman just goes, "No, you can't do that. But I'm so proud of you." That kind of stuff. It hit hard. Because it's the same thing with like when Flash tries to go back and save his mom, and it's like, some things you can't undo, but I thought it did a really good example of telling this character's life and showing this character's life in a really comprehensive and well written way. And the fact that you have these other writers who they're just like, no, we can't do that. We're just going to go and just take this stuff that's already established.
They're going to take the popular, well-known hero and just race swap him because that's easier.
When it all falls apart, because, again, we suck at writing, we just blame that, oh, you're racist. It's morally corrupt. It shows that the writers, or at least the people who are directing the design of this, are ethically bankrupt and have zero talent for actually directing or writing a story. And furthermore, too, for actual black people who want to go and be like, hey, I want to see a black superhero, or for anyone in any minority group, it's like seeing this kind of shit. It's like, what the fuck? You couldn't have actually made or used a decent character, or at least written a decent story about this shit. You just gotta go, hey, we made Captain America black. Like if you were to actually go and
I think they did, or they have at one point.
Yeah, but it's like if you were to go and be like, hey, Steve Rogers is now Jamil Wilson, and he's a black guy growing up in the 50s, but they try to just force parts of Captain America's story onto this new character while utterly changing the rest of the background to fit. It's like, it makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. And then the story all falls apart because, again, these guys have no idea how to actually write, which is why they're doing this in the first place.
They think that skin color or your sexual preference, which why is that relevant in a fictional character, is beyond me. Like at least in like a film or whatever. But anyway, they think that surface level nonsense is character traits when is a character when they're just character traits.
Exactly, and it's like a well-written character who is black or they're gay.
Like
or
this was a rumor. There was a rumor circulating I want to say sometime mid to late last year, like this time last year, about making Spider-Man bi, like the movie Spider-Man bi or something like that, which is like there's no other reason other than it's to virtue signal to bi people that which okay look. Yeah, I guess some people want to see.
Well, it's like
there's this recent trend where everyone needs to see themselves on screen. That's the whole thing Disney's doing recently, where you need to see yourself on screen. So that's why we need to race swap people and gender swap people and make people gay and all that. It's like, and that's that's fine. But then use the gay and black and white and whatever characters that you actually have, because do you know how many freaking characters are in Marvel Universe? Tons, lots of characters.
Oh yeah, well, and then also too, it's like, for example, let's say it's like, hey, we've made Spider-Man's bi. Okay, but if you're defining the character
by that trait
as a character trait, and that is by like it's like that is the major aspect of this character, that every time you see this character on the screen, all that's being told to you, the viewer, is this character is bi, this character is bi, this character is bi, or the character shows up, this character is black, this character is black, this character is black.
Or it's no different than when they say the character's the bestest ever, like with Captain Marvel. Yeah, it's like with the whole Captain Marvel movie that they did 2 years ago, where it's like she's the bestest ever, she's the best, she's the greatest.
It's ridiculous.
It's bad writing, it's nonsensical, and it's forced. Like, this is one of my problems. I have a lot of problems with the MCU Spidey, because to me it's not. It's not just to me. It's not Spidey. It's not Spidey. Like whether you enjoyed the film or not is irrelevant. It's not a good Spider-Man. It has nothing against the actor or anything. It's against the writing, not the writers, just the writing quality and the characterization. And the problem I had also with the film was the supporting cast, because some of my favorite Spider-Man characters, aside from Spider-Man himself, are his supporting characters. Flash Thompson, Mary Jane, Harry Osborn, all those characters from the original comics. And in the newer movies, they're all forced. It was forced diversity. You had Black Mary Jane, Indian Flash Thompson, who is not a jock, but now is a nerd like Peter, but still, he was a rich kid, and that's how he that's why I don't. Now, keep in mind, I haven't been in school in years. I don't know if that's what bullying is now. Like the rich kids bully the poor kids or whatever. I don't know if that's the case.
Maybe, but who knows?
Possibly. I don't know. But at least Flash was always the football jock. He was. You know why he's called Flash Thompson? His real name is Eugene. He was called Flash because he was fast on the field. He was the fastest quarterback in the high school. That was the whole point. So, it also was a reference to the Flash, because in the old school Marvel comics, Golden Age DC comics existed as comics in the Marvel Comics universe, like Tin Hat Flash and Golden Age Batman.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that was like, and you're just. It wasn't they're race swap, but they're still the same characters. Like, an example of that would be in the Fantastic Four, the first Fantastic Four movies, like the 2005 and 2007 ones, with, you had Alicia, why am I blanking on her last name? Alicia Masters, the blind chick that Ben Grimm dates. In the comics, she's, it sometimes depends on the artist, like, because I think she was originally blonde, but then she was drawn with red hair, but she was, I think, or it was always, and then I think they finally settled on the orangish hair, but, she's blind, but she was white with orangish hair. In the movies, she was black, but you know what, the character was still the same. It was just, it was a case of, we hired the best actress for the job. Not, we're gonna race swap her because we need diversity among the cast type thing.
Well, exactly. And when you see the character, you're seeing the character. You're not saying, I'm a black woman, I'm a black woman.
You're not being preached to.
When your character's on screen, if all you're getting is, I'm black, or I'm gay, or whatever, or I'm a woman, whatever it is, it's like, that's not a character. Again, that's a caricature.
You're also not being preached to, which is what a lot of these things do now. They always preach to you about what's right and what's wrong, and they're not preaching what is actually right and what's wrong. They're preaching a specific ideology that you may not agree with, but because you don't agree with, they're going to tell you that that is wrong because you don't agree with it. So much for being an individual with your own opinion, right? And that's the problem, is that these, like, that the entertainment industry has been so politicized, and it's ruined escapism and makes it no longer escapism because it's being infected with real-world politics, and it's essentially just like, okay, so you escape the real world to watch this film.
How are we going to make sure you don't have wrong think? You must always be in the realm of politics, because otherwise, how are we going to beat you down to our point of view?
I mean, look, compare... okay, so Marvel, just going off a little topic a little bit, and I guess we'll shut it down, but Marvel in 2018, right? When did Black Panther come out? February of 18, I want to say? Whenever Black Panther came out, they touted it as, oh, it's the first black superhero movie and all that, and then it's like people pointed, no, Blade came before that. And then it's like, oh, it's and then when people dismissed that, like, because it wasn't true, they said it was the first Marvel black superhero movie. It's like, no, Blade came before that, and before that they had that horrible Steel movie, which is a DC character.
Honestly,
by the way,
Blade, like all the Blade movies were awesome.
Well, the third one, it wasn't great, but it was still decent. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it was still at least good.
Yeah. I personally love too. Absolutely love it too.
It was good. It was really good.
I love it. Yeah. But yeah, the Blade movies were great. Another thing too was actually this ties back into the original topic, because you want a good Black Superman movie? Just make a new Steel movie. Really? Just don't have Shaq this time. But like Steel, the character Steel, which is a DC Comics character, he was from the Death and then Reign of the Supermen, right? He was one of the Supermen during Reign of the Supermen, and he's a black guy, and essentially he was DC's knockoff Iron Man.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's his own. He was a good character. The Justice League and Superman the Animated Series cartoons did a really good job with that character, I feel.
Well, I mean, also too, like, hey, we want a black superhero. What about fucking who was the Black Green Lantern?
Oh, John Stewart, Green Lantern. Yeah.
John Stewart. Yeah. Honestly, there you go.
You can say arguably one of the most popular Green Lantern characters ever.
Yeah, I loved him in Justice.
He's my personal favorite.
I loved his character there.
Yeah, especially in the cartoon. Oh my god. Yeah.
Again, just like with Static Shock, when you see this character on screen, you aren't seeing a character that everything they do is constantly screaming, I'm black, I'm black, I'm black.
You just see a character. I'm black. You see a character, a human being.
You're seeing a character, they've got their own hopes and dreams and fears.
One of the best episodes regarding him, one of the best episodes regarding, I think, Green Lantern was it season 1 Justice League episode? Might have been season 2, but it was the one with Dr. Destiny, where like the guy that can like go into your mind when you were sleeping.
Oh yeah.
And his fear, because he was like essentially like making them dream about their fears and keeping them asleep, essentially in a coma. And in Green Lanterns was that he becomes so alien due to him being part of the Green Lantern Corps and having the most powerful weapon in the universe on his finger. And, being so well versed in aliens and other worlds and all that he goes back to his hometown and he's essentially an alien, has no idea about anything. That was his fears, alienating himself from his heritage and his hometown and his friends and family.
Losing his humanity.
Exactly, it was losing his humanity to becoming a Green Lantern. And it was a very... It humanized the character and really not well done, because it's like, here's a character who's, the whole thing is he's not supposed to have fear, right? That's the whole thing. Green Lanterns is it's will, because willpower and fear are enemies. So, and here's his fear is losing his humanity.
I do remember that episode. It was a really good one because it really served to go and kind of go into who is John Stewart.
Yeah, I think it was probably one of the first episodes in that series that kind of went into who is John Stewart, not just Green Lantern.
Yeah,
especially since he's not the first Green Lantern we've seen in that universe. I think the first one we see is in the Superman animated series. I think it was Kyle Rayner.
I believe so, yes.
Which, yeah. But that was a great episode because they also had the one with the Flash where he's moving too fast. And, that was also great Batman episode too. Like where it just shows how awesome Batman is. But yeah, that's the thing is that that's such a good show. Like the amount of characters in the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited cartoon, and just depth of the characters too were just very well done. Paul Dini and Bruce Timm.
You would write a character. You would write a character, not a caricature. And unfortunately, nowadays with a lot of this, I doubt you.
Well, nowadays heroes are villains.
Oh, that too, yes.
Yeah, and that's a topic for a different episode, which we'll probably do maybe next week. I don't know, but the whole thing back to the original topic here was initially, like you want a black Superman, just do a Steel movie. You can have Superman in it. You can essentially take the template that they did with the Shazam movie, right? The Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, Shazam. Like just do that, where like you had Superman at the end and all that. But you can have that, like Superman's there at the beginning and inspires this guy to become Steel, and then like the original story. Because there you go, that's your Steel, and you can do a Steel movie and kind of, I want to say like redeem this character in terms of live action films, because let's be honest, whenever you think of a movie called Steel, you think of that horrible movie with the Shaq with Shaquille O'Neal, and that's not good. Yeah. And by the way, that came out I think before Blade, so, and I'm sure there were black superhero movies before that too.
Absolutely.
Like I know. There's female superhero movies that came out before, like a female-led superhero movie before Wonder Woman. I think 1996 there was a superhero.
The first. They said so.
Well, Wonder Woman. Marvel said Captain Marvel was the first, which was funny because it came out 2 years after Wonder Woman, which came out in 2017. And before that,
fucking dumb shits.
And before that, in 1996, you had Barbed Wire, which is an Image Comics character. So,
well, I mean, also you had, for instance, Kill Bill. Ring a bell.
Well, that's not a it's not a superhero, but yes, it's like the whole thing. Like, what do you mean? This is like the first female. Like, you make it like Alien, and Aliens never happened, or Terminator 1 and Terminator 2,
there have been some really, really great female lead characters, both heroes, superheroes, supervillains, and to pretend that none of that exists just so you can try to be first. I'm first. You just look like
who gives a crap about being first? It's a crap about being the best.
Really?
And that's the thing is, honestly, like, we shouldn't have to.
Good shit. People will throw money at you.
Yeah, you shouldn't matter. Like, okay, I'm not first, but I can be better than what came before, and that's what you need to do.
Exactly.
And on that note, I think I'm going to end it because that was a good line.
Yeah.
Oh, should we promote the what's face your What Can Possibly Go Wrong fund? For anyone that isn't aware, I'm working on a T-shirt based on Cam's. I guess we can call it catchphrase at this point.
No, I've got more catchphrases.
Oh, I'm sure, and we'll make more T-shirts based on them. But we're making a T-shirt based off of his "What Can Possibly Go Wrong." So, we're making a T-shirt, and hopefully we'll make money. I don't know. It's still a work in progress. We've got the "What Can Possibly." We're still working on the "Go Wrong" part of the T-shirt and the coloring.
But don't worry, it will go wrong.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. And yeah, we'll make money. You can get your Virtual joysticks. We can get Nerf guns for people in Star Citizen. Fun. Maybe we can do giveaways for the streams and stuff. I don't know.
Maybe someday. When we're all rich and famous and
yeah, right.
Years that takes.
But yeah, and speaking of which, if you want to, give us money, here's the stream. In the description, you got links to the eBay store, where if you want a poster of mine, I make posters. I print them myself and ship them myself, and they're right there. There you go.
Look, we can truthfully say, if you buy any of the products on our store here, you will be in possession of a very rare item because so few people buy them.
What was
it? Because so few people buy them, it's a very rare item.
Right. And it's not like I can never print them again. And obviously, if you just want to plainly give us money, there's a PayPal link. And regarding the T-shirt, it'll be on our Teespring store along with other T-shirts. I will say this. Do not use Teespring on Google Chrome. It is super slow. Use it on Firefox or any other browser that you use.
Does it work on Netscape?
On what?
Netscape Navigator?
I haven't checked, but yeah, like we got stuff with our logo, whether the YouTube logo or my personal logo. Star Wars is Dead T-shirt. I got a true gaming gear, because if you get this, then we all know that you are a true gamer because you have a game handicap. It's something everyone needs. Even get face masks. And obviously the newest addition so far, aside from Cam's What Can Possibly Go Wrong shirt, is Crotch Shot. Because why not?
Because who doesn't love shooting their enemies in the crotch?
Exactly! Also, if you buy this, let alone wear it in public, you will have our utmost deserving respect. Seriously.
Are we going with respect here?
Yeah, we'll call it respect.
Okay, that's fair.
We'll call it respect. It doesn't mean it's actually respect. Gullibility? Anyway, but yeah, links for all of this stuff in the description below, as always. Also, if you want to check out our Star Citizen streams, since those of you that were watching that didn't know we actually cover Star Citizen, we stream it pretty much every day of the week over on Twitch.
No, not every day, but often.
I'd at least say 5 days a week. The description is for the link for both my Twitch and Data's Twitch is in the description below. We're both very close to being monetized. That should be fun. I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm monetized. Who knows? We'll figure it out.
Flat world domination.
Donate all of my money to myself. And rent. Yeah, that's really about it. And also, give the video, the stream here a like, share it, subscribe, all that stuff. You guys know them. And yeah, if you didn't like it, or wanted to share your thoughts or whatever with us, the comment section's down there. You guys know what to do. And if you want to hang out with us in Star Citizen or just in the Discord in general, link that's also in the description. Everything's in the description. Everything. Even codes for referral codes for Star Citizen that give you extra credits in game.
Which, for those who don't know, starting May 22nd, there's going to be a free fly event through June 3rd, to where you can just go to the website, register on there. All you need is an email address, and then from the 22nd to the 3rd, play it for free. They give everyone, including the new guys and those who have already bought it, access to several different ships for you to go and fly around and play with, and you'll have the same access that anyone who has already bought the game will have, just to check it out, see what it's about. So if you've been thinking, hey, this looks kind of cool, but I don't got the money to drop on it, here's your chance to get some first hand.
It's also a good way to test, like, hey, I'm interested in the game, but I'm not so sure about it yet, or I have, or I'm interested. I definitely want to get it, but I don't want to buy a package or whatever until I know I have a PC that runs it, and this is a good way to see if your PC will run it. So yeah, you can use it for a myriad of reasons.
Yep.
But you just scroll like I can actually show you on the stream here. Like scroll down the description, past the links here. Got the Twitch links over here, and then you have the links for our codes over here, where it literally just gives you all the information you need about joining the game. Discord link is. We also have an Etsy store. I never actually set that up yet, so I'll probably get rid of it. I've heard some mixed things about it. But there you go. Also, I will be adding more posters because I'm ready for the gray market of eBay. So I can sell all this stuff. Also, I should add all these are original designs by yours too. I'm making all this crap myself from scratch. So this is truly original stuff you're seeing.
Truly.
Indeed. But yeah, I think that's it. This has been Cast in the Shadows, episode 23, and remember, everyone to treat others that you want to be treated. And remember,
unless you like treat others like an asshole because you want to be an asshole, then just treat
I was saying, remember what can possibly go wrong, but I think Camp just said it. So, yeah.